Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto refuses to return to Konoha Fairy Tail. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written a stray owl and link in the description and support rider. Let's start the video. Chapter 1 Prologue Part 1. 16-year-old Uzumaki Naruto laid on his bed dead tired after the battle between his comrades and the Akatsuki members Haiden and Kakuzo aka the Zombie Brothers. In the end he was able to defeat Kakuzo with his new jutsu Futenrasen Shuriken. But the problem was the jutsu was far from complete, he couldn't keep it stable for a needed amount of time and was forced to use it as a close-range attack instead of mid to long range like it was supposed to. Not to mention it caused severe damage to his arm as well as the enemy. His thoughts went from the battle to his personal life. He didn't have many people he could actually call friends. There were Rock Lee Niji Hyuga Shikamaru Narachoji Akamichi and Sai and the Suna sibling, but they were in different countries, so they couldn't see each other. His love interest teammate Haruno Sakura, but he had to admit that it was rather one-sided since she had eyes only for their former teammate turned traitor Uchiha Sasuke, or how most people call him the last Uchiha. He betrayed Konohagakure no Sato for Orochimaru of the Densetsu no Sannin. To him Sasuke was like a brother, but the bond got severed the moment he shoved a CHIDORI 1000 birds into his chest at the Valley of the End. Jiraiya and Tsunade were very important to him. The self-proclaimed super pervert made him his successor, which filled him with no small amount of pride. Tsunade was probably the closest thing he had to a mother in his life. The Toad Sage and the Slug Princess were the people who cared about him the most. As Jonin sensei the copy ninja had a Kakashi well Naruto doesn't consider him a teacher for the reason he ignored him in his early post-academy days in favor of his traitorous teammate Hell. He even taught him his signature was basically forced to help him with combining his natural element with the RASENGAN spiraling sphere. And that's when it hit the blonde like a ton of bricks. The orange-clad shinobi didn't have any relations outside of professional with the silver-haired Jonin and frankly he wouldn't care much if the copy nin died. Now that made him feel uneasy. If you asked him what kind of person his sensei was his only answer would be, he is sort of lazy and is always late. Naruto didn't like that he was going to get to know his sensei first thing tomorrow. When Naruto walked to Kakashi's house, he ignored the glares and scows he got every time he was out of his apartment. His thought drifted to the village and he honestly wasn't happy here and felt like a fool for trying for so long to show them that he is more than a demon, that he is a person worthy of respect. When he was young he had memories of the mobs they formed to beat him. When he defeated Gaara during the invasion of Konoha, they said it was a fluke or that their Uchiha weakened him and he finished him. Please, if it wasn't for him Sasuke would have died. But enough of those thoughts. He continued to walk to Kakashi's house. It was a normal morning for one had a Kakashi. He drank his tea, showered etc. When suddenly the door knocked he went to check out who it is and to his surprise, it was his sensei's son at the door so he unclocked. "Yo Kakashi, what's up?" said the young Uzumaki with a smile. "Naruto, what are you doing here?" asked the Hataka curiously. For a moment he took note that the blonde didn't call him sensei but shrugged that off just as quickly. "Is it a problem?" asked Naruto in a mock-hurt voice. "Well, come in then," said the masked Jonin with his signature eye smile. When the blonde-haired ninja looked around his teacher's apartment, he could see it was what a normal person would call a regular apartment, nothing cheap, nothing expensive. The one thing that got the orange-clad ninja's attention was a desk with a lot of pictures of the old Team 7, a picture of Team Minato, and the silver-haired Jonin's father Tsukumo Haddock, also known as the Shiroi Kiba, White Fang. "Something you want to talk about?" Naruto asked the son of the White Fang. "Yes, there is Kakashi." Said the blonde seriously. Kakashi was surprised that his student wanted to talk to him about something serious and started to pay attention to the conversation. "You see sensei, to be blunt, I don't know you and I don't care about you. I mean you can die and the only thing I would say is something like oh well, too bad. What I mean to tell you sensei is that we don't have a real bond. We don't have the sensei-student bond, nor do we have a bond of friendship and I want to change that," said Naruto with a smile. Kakashi's first thought was that they had a bond, but then he thought about it and realized that his student was right, they didn't share a bond and he also wanted a bond with his sensei's legacy. Even when they were training his wind element he only did the bare minimum. He didn't teach him any jutsu and felt ashamed of himself. If it was Sasuke he would have gone far beyond the minimum. "You know Naruto, I think you are right about it, we never formed a bond, so what do you say tomorrow you and me at the usual training ground so I can teach you wind ninjutsu?" Said Haddock with an eye smile. Playing on the teen's lust for knowledge. Naruto was a bit hesitant because when he trained with Kakashi, he would only get the bare minimum. The silver-haired Jonin saw he was hesitant and knew the reason why, so he added. "For real this time," said the Sharingan user. Naruto smiled at that since he could see his sensei was serious this time around. "Hi Kakashi sensei," said Naruto with enthusiasm clear in his voice. Okay, bye Naruto, bye, see you tomorrow, and remember at 7 o'clock, he finished. Sayonara sensei, said the blonde as he shunshide body flickered away. Yeah, real sensei this time, Kakashi. Now to devise a training regime, said Haddock. The next morning. Naruto stood there with his normal orange and black jumpsuit, ready to with a puff of smoke. Yukaka-sensei, said the blonde-haired genin. Boy Naruto, replied the leaf jonin. Naruto, listen up, we are going to start with a C-rank jutsu, it is called Futen Tatapa, after that Futon. Kamikaze Futon. Rankton and Futon. Atsugai, said the silver-haired man. Futen Tatapa is a relatively simple technique that creates a sudden gust of wind, but its scale varies greatly on the can go from a single push to a shattering tree. The hand seals are tiger, ox, dog, rabbit, snake, now go ahead and try. Said the elder shinobi. The Futon. Atsugai, a tornado-like mass is compressed until it has a very high density and is then released. The wind pressure is raised to its highest limit, and once the technique hits the target, the resulting blast sweeps everyone off there. The technique is used by someone who has mastered wind nature transformation. The blast can hit a vast range, inflicting massive damage on both the target and their surroundings. Explained Kakashi. Itaiju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, and then 200 clones came into existence. Each ready to start the training with vigor. I will never get used to seeing so many clones from one person, thought Kakashi. He then lifted his headband and used his Sharingan to see the chakra flow and started to instruct the Naruto clones how to do their jutsu properly. On. Rankton, it is air of the large quantity of chakra needed into it, it explodes the moment it reaches its target, dealing an enormous amount of damage as well as leveling anything in its path. Continued the teacher. On. Kamikaze, the user releases a gust of wind that forms several small tornadoes. And with that he finished. Can you show me, sensei, asked the young genin. Sorry Naruto, I can use every element except wind. The jonin said. Naruto cried in tears at that statement. Until it was time to get started to train, that's when the Uzumaki became completely serious. They continued to train like this for the next month, and to his shock Naruto learned every single jutsu. Naruto was by all means a genius, and he couldn't see it for all their time as Team 7. With every training session Kakashi got learn more about Naruto, and their bond grew stronger. Yash-sensei, I did it, I mastered all the jutsu, Belivid, exclaimed the happy blonde. Amazing, 1 month and he can use them as if he was using them for years. Thought the copy nin. So Naruto wanna get some ramen, said Kakashi, smiling, he of course knew the answer. Yes to Ichiraku, proclaimed Naruto. Ichiraku ramen. As they were eating there was some small talk between the two. Kakashi was happy finally being a sensei. If he had to be honest, training with Naruto was fun. When he was training Sasuke for the Chunin exams it was sort of boring, considering the Uchiha wasn't a very talkative person. The second he learned the Chidori he demanded to be taught the Rikiri, lightning blade. But the more time passed the Haddock started seeing Naruto getting close to snap at the villagers if the death glares he was giving them was a clue. He was gonna ask his student about that. You know Naruto, I can see you are getting angry at the villagers. Stated the student of the yellow flash. You see Kakashi-sensei, I am tired of having to prove myself to them time and time again. Every time I accomplishment something they just ignore it and think it was a lie or a fluke. Honestly, I don't give a fuck about what they think about me. Said the blonde-haired shinobi with anger in his voice. Do you want to know why, sensei? I have a good guys. Why don't you talk to your friends about it, asked a curious copy nin. They wouldn't understand, most of them grew up loving Konoha and everything about it, they didn't get beat up on their birthdays or got denied food and clothing. No, they grew up with the different side of the good people of our village. I honestly don't want to become Hokage to these people. Said the Uzumaki. Kakashi heard the word good spoken with some much venom in the young man's voice, he sighed. And he knew his student was gonna blow up soon, so he better negate it. When suddenly came in the stand his other student Haruno Sakura was wearing a white shirt, a black knee-length skirt. She was currently looking for Ino, but then she saw her teammate and sensei in the ramen stand Naruto loves so much. Sakura-chan, what's up, shouted Naruto, which earned him a hit in the skull from Sh's pink-haired teammate. Kakashi's eye wit, in one moment the blonde was angry and the next he was super happy. Kakashi didn't need the Sharingan to see that the blonde was putting up a mask. He then felt ashamed in himself that he was so blind to his blonde student. Then he got a little angry at his pink-haired student. She disrespect the Uzumaki, claims to know him better than anyone and yet she hasn't picked it up for so much time. Plus why does she have to hit him in the head every time for the smallest thing, and better yet why was his male student taking those hits? Boy Kakashi-sensei, why are you here, asked the confused Pinkite. We were just done training, Sakura. Answered Kakashi. Yeah, I learned a lot of new jutsu, Sakura-chan, the Uzumaki grinned proudly. Really Naruto, which jutsu did you learn, the female member of Team 7 asked curiously. Sorry Sakura-chan, but I can't tell you. said Naruto. And why the hell can't you tell me? Questioned the angry Haruno. She was 2 seconds away from pounding him into the ground. Luckily for the blonde their sensei intervened. Sakura and Konoha, ninja do not question other ninja about the jutsu they know, as ninja's jutsu arsenal should be their most important secret. Do you understand? Asked the inwardly sided. Most shinobi know that. Heck, some of the more powerful genin know that. Was she an idiot? Sakura paused and said her goodbyes and left to find her best friend. Not long after that Kakashi and Naruto went their separate ways. Naruto wanted to get some rest while Kakashi wanted to find a way to defuse the situation. Next week. Kakashi was in the Hokage office discussing his idea with Tsunade Senju. Tsunade was a 54-year-old woman. However, she maintains the appearance of her younger self through a unique and constant transformation technique. Are you sure about this, Kakashi? This will put both you and Naruto in danger. Akatsuki will be looking for you. She asked worried. If Akatsuki were to find them and there was more than one team, they stand no chance of whining. But he has a point. Naruto will snap soon, and if he hurts anyone I will have to punish him, and the village will only hate him more. She though sighed. If you add the fact that no one will take his side, it only makes matters worse. The punishment for a shinobi hurting a civilian is in best cases for the civilian to be given 60% of the ninja's pay for every mission they do for 6 months. Naruto already doesn't get a lot of money, so 60% cut will leave him with even less. Damn civilians. Kakashi, permission granted. You are to leave in 2 days, but please keep him safe. Said the Hokage with worry in her voice. Hi Hokage-sama, thank you. Said the copy ninja, and with that he used Shunshin and left the office. As for his level when he joins Fairy Tail, I am thinking slightly above Urza's level. What do you guys think? I hope you enjoy this and keep in mind this is my first time doing a fight scene. Time skip. 2 months. As Naruto and Kakashi were eating in a small at the border between Fire and Lightning Country, the former couldn't help but think on what the latter told him. Flashback. In the morning in front of Naruto's apartment stood Kakashi and knocked at the door. The blonde answered to the door. Boy sensei, what's up? Asked the curious Jinchuriki. Naruto, can I come in? Said Kakashi in a serious tone. Naruto got the hint and nodded. Naruto, we are going on training trip. Answered the Jonin eye smiling. Nani, but I just got back from the one with Iro-sen a couple of months ago, and wouldn't I be an easier target for Akatsuki that way when I am out of the village? Questioned the Kuraios Uzumaki. Naruto, the thing is that we can see that you won't be able to tolerate the villagers much more. Tsunade-sama can't endanger the lives of everyone in the village if Akatsuki attacks like they attacked Suna to get the Kazekage. A large number of shinobi and civilians will die if Konoha gets attacked by Akatsuki, and she can't take that risk. Said the Jonin. He felt bad that his student always had to get the short end of the stick, but he had no choice in the matter. Naruto understood the seriousness of the matter, so he begrudgingly nodded. Kakashi told him to meet him at 7:30 in the morning in front of the main gates of Konoha and left. The night Kakashi wrote a lot of important things for the training trip in a scroll. Next morning 7:30 at the main gate. It was a peaceful morning, and our blonde hero stood there waiting for his lazy teacher, but to his surprise, the normally late Jonin came just in time. And they set out. 1 hour later they were walking in silence. Kakashi felt weird his student hadn't said a word since they left the Leaf Village. Mama Naruto, I don't remember you being so silent when you left with Jiraiya-sama. Am I such a bad company? Said the silvered-haired man, trying to lighten the mood with a joke. Naruto chuckled at that. Kakashi-sensei, have you noticed how I always get the short end of the stick? Asked the blonde in a serious tone. Kakashi stiffened for a moment. He knew his companion was going to ask this question sooner or later. Yes, I have. Said the Jonin with a sigh. He knew the question will come, but he hoped it would be when the orange-wearing ninja had cooled down a bit. I am getting sick of it. Why does it always have to be me in these situations? Ever since I was born the Yondaime sealed the Kyuubi in me to our current situation. If we get attacked by 2 teams of Akatsuki we are dead, but they don't care. All they care about is their own safety. If we die it won't be such a shock since it's normal for shinobi to die in these situations. It was all according to the plan, but if the village gets attacked, then everyone panics since it wasn't according to the plan. I'm right, sensei. When those words left the blonde mouth Kakashi was shocked. At first he thought that the genin's distaste was only for the civilians of the village, but his current words proved otherwise. In short, the Bijuu holder wasn't a fan of his home. Plus he never knew the Jinchuriki had a way with words. The elders and the council are schemers. They think that we won't get their true intentions. So sensei, how much will our time out of the village be? Said the last Uzumaki. An undisclosed amount of time or until we are needed to go back to the village. Answered the Haddock. Which works out perfect for them. Responded the Naruto. After that they walked in silence while the copy-nin was digesting the words his student told him, and honestly he got bit angry that they would put them in a 90% chance of death situations just so they could feel more safe. 1 week later they started training their teamwork so in the chance they are attacked to have a higher chance of whining. Naruto was able to master Futon Rasen Shuriken, he can use it without hurting himself in the process, plus he can also throw it. But the reason why Kakashi was proud of him was that his student took a liking to the Icha Icha series, he let loose tears of happiness which made Naruto sweat drop at his sensei antics. Present time. You know sensei, you never really told me what was it like when you were a genin? Asked a curious new reader of Icha Icha. Kakashi had a faraway look at the memories of his team. Well Naruto, my team was really similar to Team 7. Answered Kakashi. Naruto looked surprised at that. What do you mean by similar sensei? Said the now really interested blonde. My teammates were Uchiha Obito and Nahara Rin. Obito was goofy, unserious and was always late. He considered me his rival while I at the time didn't acknowledge his strength and considered him weak, but he proved to be far more powerful than I ever thought he was. He also fell in love with Rin, but she at the time had a crush on yours truly, but that's where the similarities end, as when me and Obito argued she never took sides, instead she played peacemaker, said Kakashi before taking a breath and continued. During the Third Great Shinobi World War me and my team were stationed at Kanabi Bridge in Grass Country. At the time my strength was low, Jonin Obito was high chunin, and Rin was medic nin with, like most medics, low fighting capabilities. During the mission Rin got kidnapped by Iwa Shinobi for interrogation. I voted to continue the mission without her, Obito went to save her and told words that I will never forget. Said the student of Minato. Naruto continued to listen, clearly interested. Those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are less than trash. After a couple minutes of thinking I went after him to help save her. We fought the first Iwa Nin, and Obito was able to unlock his Sharingan. I lost my left eye to the Rock Shinobi. We found Rin in a cave being interrogated by the second Iwa Nin, and we engaged him in a fight. After that we defeated the second one, and I saw just how strong Obito was, but when we rescued Rin the second one used a strong Doton Jutsu to make the cave collapse. When we were escaping a rock hit me on the head and Obito saved my life by pushing me out of the way, and he took my place. The result being getting half of his body crushed by a rock, his gave me his left Sharingan eye, and his dying wish was for me to protect Rin. But I failed Naruto, I failed everyone. Said the copy nin with a sad and tired sigh. Said Naruto with conviction. What do you mean no, Naruto, they are both dead, I failed, answered the surprised silver-haired man. It wasn't your fault, you did everything in your power to save them sensei, they wouldn't want for you to blame yourself. We are not gods, we can't save everyone, but we must save much as we can. You are anything but a failure, you survived and endured everything life threw at you. You are worthy of everyone's respect, if they blame you, then they are delusional fools, finished the blue-eyed teen with the same conviction with which he stared with. Kakashi didn't have words to express how he felt for all these years, he blamed himself for everything that happened, and yet now he felt like a giant weight is being thrown off his shoulders. He smiled under his mask. Naruto, you truly are a special person, Jiraiya-sama was right, you are the child of prophecy. As the duo left the small restaurant and headed to the inn. Next morning. When they exited the inn they immediately noticed two men standing next to each other. The shorter was a young man with onyx eyes, black hair with bangs that framed his face with pronounced tear troughs under his eyes. That was Uchiha Itachi's rank missing nin of the leaf. The taller one, he had a distinctive shark-like appearance, with pale blue-gray skin and the small, round, wide eyes, gill-like facial markings under his eyes. When he grinned there were sharp triangular teeth. He also styled his blue hair in the form of a shark fin. That was Hoshigaki Kisame's rank missing ninja of the Hidden Mist Village. Ada Kakashi, would you hand over Naruto-kun there peacefully? Asked the Uchiha with his normal monotone voice. Not on your life, Itachi. Damn it, we can't escape. Naruto, take Kisame, I will take Itachi, ordered the Jonin. Naruto nodded and went after Kisame. Naruto versus Kisame. Naruto took a kunai out of his pouch and went to slit the sharkman's throat. The blue man quickly took out Samehada and blocked the kunai and pushed the blonde back. Boy Gaki, you have gotten bigger than I remember, last time you were just a shrimp, laughed the Kiri missing nin. Yay, but you the same sushi as last time, replied Naruto with a smirk. The older shinobi got angry at that comment. The Uzumaki made 5 clones who each used a wind jutsu against the Akatsuki member. He then made another 30 to engage him into jutsu. The blue man was seemingly whining until the original was bang him and went for the kill. The older man barely dodged but got a cut on the cheek and a RASENGAN spiraling sphere to the gut by a clone, sending him flying into a house. You little shit, I am gonna enjoy ripping you apart. Suiton. Bikusui Shma, water release. Exploding water colliding wave. Immediately after that a large mass of water started cascading down to the blonde. Said blonde countered with Kuchius no Jutsu summoning jutsu. A giant toad poofed in existence and blocked the incoming wave. The giant toad had black markings on his face, arms, and legs with horn-like protrusions on his head. He keeps a Sakazuki-like shield wrapped around his back and his Sasamata in his hand. Naruto, what's happening, harassed Gamaken. And I need your help to defeat this Gainsword, said Shinobi. Hi, but please forgive me because I am clumsy, said the giant toad. Shit, since when can he summon toads this big damn? Itachi vs Kakashi. Pain. Nkakik no Jutsu fire release. Great fireball technique, they both said, and two giant fireballs collided with each other, killing each other out. Lightning beast running technique, yelled Kakashi, and out of his hand came a lightning hound that slammed into Itachi and severely burned him. But then Itachi poofed to reveal a barrel. The copy ninja si widened and quickly jumped out of the way of a couple of kunai. You are better than last time, copy ninja, remarked the Uchiha prodigy. The older shinobi didn't answer, instead he shot 5 shuriken at the Uchiha. Naruto vs Kisame. Kisame quickly fused with Samehada and yelled. Suramsamiadori no Jutsu water prison shark dance technique. Suddenly the mini ocean around the trio formed a giant water prison. What the hell? Though the Serpai's blonde. Kisame didn't waste any time, he summoned the lot sharks to attack the toad. Well, he took Naruto on slightly away, so Gamaken can't help him. Naruto felt his chakra drain, so he hastily did Taiju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. A huge amount of clones formed and they all started to do the first step of the Rasengan, which resulted in a giant whirlpool that ended the jutsu. Wind Rels. Drilling air bullet, Kisame heard someone say. He didn't have time to react and got hit head-on with the jutsu. And keep him busy, I am gonna help sensei, he is in a jinjutsu, yelled the Uzumaki as he ran to his sensei. Okay, but forgive me if I am clumsy, responded the toad. Kakashi vs Itachi. What the hell is that, half asked half demanded the Konoha Jonin when he saw the giant water prison. That is one of my partner's special abilities. Your student should be defeated within minutes, answered the stoic Uchiha. You shouldn't underestimate my student Itachi. He will find a way, answered Kakashi. Why do you have so much faith in your apprentice, asked an interested crew user. Because he is the one who is going to bring peace to the world, answered the Leaf Nin with conviction. Ephemeral, said Itachi. Kakashi suddenly got impaled with a large amount of shuriken. Jinjutsu should. He then received the sleep command. When he refused, his body started to morph into Obito and Rin. I trusted you, Kakashi, and what do? You killed Rin, you are less than trash, I should have let you die, Obito barked out. His words dripping with venom. Normally those prior to his talk with Naruto would have broken his resolve. But now he had to fight. And he won't give up. When suddenly the jinjutsu ended. He looked around and saw his student next to him. Amaterasu, said the former Konoha ninja. Sensei and student jumped out of the way just in time. Damn, I have to end this fast, thought the former Anbu captain. Susanoo, when those words left his mouth, the upper body of giant astral skeleton appeared around him, but then the skeleton transformed into a warrior of sorts. When seen in its complete form, it has a normal face with what resembles locks of hair framing it. The only oddity that Susanoo displays is an appendage on its chin reminiscent of a pharaoh's false beard. When it reached its final form, the armor that surrounds Susanoo resembles a long-nosed Tengu, which wears a pair of Magatama earrings. Its right hands also gain plating which give them the appearance of peeling. Naruto quickly threw a Futenrasen shuriken at the Akatsuki member, but the shield not only blocked the jutsu, but also reflected it back at blue-eyed Teen. Said Teen hastily dodged the attack. The power of my Susanoo is absolute, the Yada mirror is the ultimate defense, well the sword of Totsuka the ultimate offense, you can't win, said the murderer of the Uchiha clan. Curses, at this rate I might lose and die, but I can't, Sasuke has to be the one that kills me. I must make haste. Naruto, don't worry, he can't keep this technique up for long, it is draining his chakra fast, plus he is sick. We just have to outlast him, assured the copy ninja. The toad summoner nodded. Tobi, who was watching this, was not pleased at the turn of events. He had to intervene. Suddenly, as Naruto dodged yet another strike of Susanoo, a man with the Akatsuki robes and orange mask was in front of him. He didn't have time to react when the newcomer slashed his kunai across the Jinchurki's eyes. Naruto yelled in pain and started to draw Kyuubi's chakra, but Tobi was prepared and used a Biju Usurpator seal on the blonde's forehead, which knocked the said blonde out. Naruto screamed in horror, the son of the White Fang, at what he just saw. His sensei's son just got knocked out by the masked man. He then looked shocked at what he saw. This person has the same Manjukam Sharingan as Obito. And he is using Kamui authority of the gods. He used it as well. The vortex started to shake violently and started to absorb the unconscious body of Naruto, Itachi and Kakashi and everything in the air, one of which were the shuriken thrown earlier, one of which embedded itself in Itachi's right eye. As the vortex started to close, Itachi's left leg got cut out. The masked ninja cursed under his breath. That portal wasn't leading to his dimension and he had no idea where it leads. Earthland Forest. Furusuka's house. Yusuka was in her house resting when she felt a large amount of magic being formed in the vicinity. She normally wouldn't have interfered, but it was absolutely monstrous. So she had to see if it was treat to her. Damn it, Kakashi barely muttered. The Kamui sucked absolutely all of his chakra. He was dying of chakra exhaustion. Kakashi, are you sure he is the one? Asked the dying Uchiha, who was losing too much blood too fast. He was going to die as well. Yes, responded the dying copy nin. Yusuka arrived the scene before her. She saw a teen with slashed eyes, a dying young man without a leg, and another man who looked to be dying as well. What's going on here? She asked. There was silence before the one without the leg said. Please give our red eyes to the blonde. Gomen, little brother, I can't give you the revenge you desire. But I must help the child of prophecy. Itachi's arm moved to the unconscious teen's stomach and placed his chakra in the seal matrix. Kakashi did the same. I please and give him scroll in my backpack, and with it the life in them disappeared. On that day Hada, Kakashi and Uchiha Itachi drew their final breath. One day later. Yusuka honored their dying wishes to give the boy their eyes. The transplant was successful. As Naruto woke up he felt different. He was able to see crystal clear, way better than ever before. Then his memories came back to him. Kakashi-sensei, he shouted. The door opened and in came a slim and tall elderly woman with pink hair, tied in a bun on the back of her head by two large pins with crescent moon-shaped edges, and with two bangs of hair left framing her face, with reddish eyes. If you mean a white-haired or black-haired man, then I am sorry to inform you they are both dead, she said with a solemn voice. Naruto's world shattered. What do you mean dead? He can't be dead, there is no way he is dead, responded the new Sharingan wielder. This was Hada Kakashi that we're talking about, not a regular shinobi, he can't just die. But he left a message for you, she said, and handed him the scroll. Naruto opened it and read it. It said. To Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto, if you are reading this then I am dead. I want you to know that you are like family to me and you helped me a lot more than you know. The night I am writing this is the first in a long while where I don't feel eaten by my guilt. I can safely say that I have died with only one regret, not being able to know you longer. I want you to know that in the big scroll is written every jutsu that I know with you shadow clones, you will be able to learn most of them, I am sure of that. Become strong and protect those that are precious to you. Find happiness, if you can't find it in Konoha then leave, you deserve happiness. I want you know that there will be strong opponents along the way, so become strong. I am proud of you, my greatest student. Goodbye, from your sensei Hada Kakashi. Naruto fell on the floor crying for the lose of his sensei. Yusuka left the blonde alone and exited the room. When Naruto finally stood up and looked at himself in the mirror, he was shocked. He had two crimson Sharingan eyes instead of his regular sapphire blue. He was confused, but then it hit him, the masked bastard slashed his eyes. Which means one of the eyes was his sensei's eye, the other one was Itachi's. The next morning. After Naruto had given his eye donors proper funerals. He was shocked the former Akatsuki member wanted to give him his eye. Then he explained to Yusuka about where he came from, what he remembered and about his life. She was shocked to hear what life he had as a child and heard her mutter damn humans, but didn't ask what she meant by that. She in turn explained to him about Fiori, from magic and mages to guilds and geography, and also gave him a map. She wondered how he had no scars from where the slash wound was but didn't ask him. The elderly lady also told him about Fairy Tail, but the blonde wasn't ready for something like that. Thank you Yusuka Bach, and if you ever need anything just tell me and I will come, it is the least I can do for you, okay? And with that he gave her a heartwarming hug. The older woman was shocked, no one has ever hugged her in a long time. If she had to be honest, it felt good. If you ever need help about anything just call me and I will come, sayonara. And with it the blonde hero walked out and disappeared in the distance. Yes, we shall Uzumaki Naruto, you are a very interesting human. And she said with a small smile while walked back in. And thinking about what the future might hold. Time skip. 6 months and a half. The first thing our blonde hero started training was his chakra control, for the sole reason that everything being non-stop slow motion was very uncomfortable. He was able to do it by cutting the chakra flow to his eyes as much as possible. His eyes were still the Sharingan with 3 Tomo. The Uzumaki was currently learning from the scroll his sensei left for him. His training regime was maxed to the max because of the haunting memory of his weakness. Helplessness. If it wasn't for his late sensei he would be dead with the Kyuubi extracted out of him. Naruto often came to the grave he made for Kakashi near Yusuka's home. In the East Forest outside of Magnolia town. Currently he was in a lake in the forest surrounding to Clover Town training and using Kamui. The jutsu was really hard to get the hang of, but he finally had it mastered to a level of which he can be happy about. He was currently able to use wind, water, lightning, fire element. And was firing jutsu after jutsu. Pain. Nkakuk no jutsu, Sharingan wielder yelled out. With a giant fireball being shot from his mouth. Right after that he said Suiton. Suriken no jutsu. The water behind him erupted in a giant water dragon. He continued to fire off water fire and wind jutsu in every direction, not noticing he was being watched by someone. He was watched by a woman with pale skin with dark purple hair and brown eyes. She had a hergless figure and wears a long revealing dress, sporting a striped pattern. As she was walking she felt a large amount of magic being used in the near vicinity. I wonder what kind of idiot just shoots off his magic like that. Normally she would just let the idiot be, but he wasn't showing signs of stopping, and that had her curiosity. He must have a lot of magical power and strong spells, he can prove useful in the future. With that she decided to check it out. When she got there she saw a tall teen with shoulder-length spiked sun-kissed blonde hair and strange crimson eyes. The ice make user was shocked. Impossible, this guy is using 4 types of elemental magic and all of them are on an extremely high level. Then she saw Kamui. Incredible, on top of using 4 elements to this extent he can also use space-time magic. She was cut out of her musing when a kunai landed right next to her head. "Whoever you are, show yourself," said the blonde. He wasn't expecting a beautiful young woman with a seductive smirk on her face. "Oh, someone really likes to throw knives, huh?" she said with a playful voice. "Sorry, I thought I was spied at. I owe you one," Naruto answered while scratching the back of his head with a sheepish smile on his face. She smirked. He fell right for it. "Well, I plan on cashing in that favor right now with you treating me dinner in a good restaurant," said the daughter of Ur. Naruto's eyes widened at that. "Hey lady, I don't even know your name or anything," Dadabeo replied and embarrassed the student of the copy nin. She laughed at his verbal tick but decided to not comment on it. "Perfect, we will get to know each other at the date. Pick me up at the 8 from 4-Leaf Clover Hotel and dress nice." And with that she walked away leaving Naruto alone. "Well, at least I have something interesting," to the crimson-eyed teen. True to his world, the young man was in front of the hotel in a nice set of clothes. He wore a white long-sleeved shirt and jeans. When the door opened his jaw hit the ground. He saw Altair in a dark purple cocktail dress. She hugged him and pressed her cleavage against his chest, making him blush. They walked to the place, mostly engaging small talk and slightly more important things like knowing each other's names. "So Naruto-kun, have you joined a guild yet? A strong young mage like yourself with a lot of potential must be every guild master's dream," she asked. The former Leaf Shinobi's eyes saddened. "I don't think I am ready for something like that. I recently lost someone precious to me. Just don't feel ready yet," the ninja answered. She inwardly smirked. "Perfect, confused. Hurt doesn't know many people from around here. He will play right into my hands." She placed her hands on top his and said some comforting words to him. After their date they went to her hotel room and had a night of passion. Next morning. "Damn, he has a lot of stamina. And he was so big." The blonde awoke next to her. "Yo, Altair-chan, good morning," said a really happy Uzumaki. "Best morning I had in a while, Naruto-kun," she said truthfully. And that is how the meetings between Altair Milkovich and Uzumaki Naruto began. For the next 6 months they had a lot more meetings. Naruto continued to get stronger and learned a lot more jutsu. He was happy finally in this new world he had someone precious to him. As he was walking he sensed magic being used and a battle being fought. He was curious and decided to see if someone was in trouble. To his surprise he saw Dark Mage Eriger, the Shinigami and Natsu of Fairy Tail, with the pink-haired dragon slayer, being on the losing side of the match because of the Eisenwald mage's storm mail. The Sharingan user started walking towards them to assist the Fairy Tail mage. Chapter 3. Welcome to Fairy Tail, Maystorm. Demon Summon talking. Demon Summon thinking. Normal human speaking. Flashback human thinking. "I do not own Naruto at Fairy Tail. Dragonsoul 28. I don't plan to touch on similar aspects of chakra and Edanano. And no, Naruto will not be able to copy magic. I want to thank LIGHTNINGBLADE49 for helping me decide on how powerful should Naruto be and for the mistake I made in the description." Natsu was having a very hard battle with Eriger of Eisenwald. Because the older mage could make all of his fire attacks with Storm Mail null and void. "What's the matter, Flea? Have you finally gotten a trough your thick skull that you are nothing compared to me?" yelled out the silver-haired mage at the younger one. Natsu was just about to make a comeback when suddenly a stranger started walking towards them. He was tall and had spiky sun-kissed blonde hair that reached down to his shoulders. Naruto's haircut is a wilder version of Minato's haircut. The stranger had fair skin and wore a long-sleeved dark gray shirt with a "Who the fuck are you?" asked the white-haired man. The blonde man continued to walk towards them, ignoring him, which infuriated the dark mage. How dare that flea ignore him? "I said who the fuck are you?" yelled out the Shinigami. "Do you want to die, asshole?" "Oh hey, I didn't see you there. Did you say something?" replied the stranger with a lazy voice. That made Natsu's opponent snap. This guy was either retarded or was mocking him. Either way the fool was going down. "That's it, you're going die, you bastard," exclaimed the windstorm user. "Eriger-san, could you please look me in the eyes and tell me that?" questioned the newcomer with an almost challenging tone if it wasn't overshadowed by his sheer lack of interest. "Why the fuck not, you are a flea anyway," so the Eisenwald member stoked frozen mid-sentence when he saw the eye he was looking at. Both were deep red. One had 3 tomo, the other one had the shape of an elongated tri-bladed shuriken. "Tsukiyomi," he spoke silently. "Tsukiyomi world." Eriger was in world with red moon casting a red light throughout his surroundings with a cloudy atmosphere. "You are Uzumaki Naruto, the crimson-eyed god," exclaimed a very afraid dark mage. And for a good reason, this guy was famous for traumatizing his victims and putting them in a coma. Some people who awoke even say don't look the devil in the eyes. He was just about to learn firsthand why you shouldn't look him in the eyes. "That's me. What gave it away, were it my red eyes or were it the clothes and blonde hair, huh?" asked the Uzumaki in a fake confused look. But then his expression turned serious. Which sent cold shivers down the assassin's spine. "You are in my world now. I control everything here, so let's see if you enjoy being sliced to shreds over and over again," said the Sharingan user with a monotone. Eriger was shocked when suddenly wind started to form around him and became deadly blades. He started to cry out in agony when the first 2 cut both his arms in 3 places, one after another. Then came his legs and torso and finally his head, but the torture was not over, it was far from over. The dark mage started to experience his body being sewed together just to be cut down again. When he looked at Naruto, he saw that the blonde's face was impassive except for his eyes, which were cold and cruel. He understood why they say he was a devil. Real world. Natsu stood there watching the encounter when suddenly, after a couple seconds of silence, Eriger started screaming in terror and blacked out. He quickly looked at the stranger and saw his left eye bleeding. And with his dragon hearing, he heard the spell being said by the blonde. He wanted to fight this guy since the said person was able to defeat the Eisenwald's ace with only looking at him. But just before he was about to challenge him, Urza and their group arrived. "Natsu, are you unhappy, alright?" asked the worried Redeed. Natsu may be strong, but Eriger was merciless. If Natsu was cut, she didn't want for the wounds to get infected. "Aye, sir," Happy quickly replied. Urza sighed in relief, but then she saw a black wearing man walking towards them. "Where are they going to use lullaby?" he asked seriously. Urza narrowed her eyes and was just about to speak when the Dragon Slayer interrupted her. "Hey, how did you defeat Eriger team by just looking at him?" the pink-haired teen asked. Urza was surprised, but then she looked into his eyes. She recalled reading about a guy matching his description. The crimson-eyed god and S-rank independent mage. Known for his use of elemental attacks and illusions. His most deadly ones being ocular. She inwardly smirked at the fool. Eriger didn't know who he was taking on. The idiot probably looked him in the eyes. "It seems like he is on our side, but I must be cautious. But he is kind of cute." "Bad, Urza. Bad. Don't think about things like this now. They are going to attack the guild masters in Clover Town," she answered. "Hi, let's get going then," said Naruto. "But after this I won't fight you," yelled Natsu. Naruto agreed with a nod and they went off. Clover Town. The night covered the sky as the moon shined across the town of Clover. Next to the guild masters. One would think that they were talking about very important things that could shape the guild's future, but no, what they are actually doing is drinking, gambling and overall taking a vacation. Next to the meeting hall stood Kageyama, who was standing on a nearby cliff looking over the building with a lullaby flute in his hand. "Yeah, this will do," he said to himself. While being happy that he will be able to accomplish his guild's mission. They will defiantly be able to hear the lullaby song from here. Finally, the time has come when we'll have our revenge on the legal guilds, he thought. However, before Kageyama could put the demonic flute towards his lips, the sound of smooching came from behind a bush. "There are some hot little numbers in this one, haha," an old boy said, causing Kageyama to blanch slightly. When Kageyama turned around, he had to take a step back when he saw Master Makarov sitting there with a Sorcerer's Weekly magazine and looking at the pages with the girls in lingerie while giggling like a pervert. "Oh, what am I doing? I need to catch up to those idiots before they destroy a whole freaking town." Makarov thought about the team consisting of 4 of the most destructive mages in his guild. Leaping up from the spot, he was about to walk off before his eyes caught a mage staring at him from the corner of his eyes, making him become a nervous wreck. Makarov quickly put the magazine behind him. "That's not what it looks like," he said, making Kageyama's sweat drop. "I was just looking at some potential new mages to join my guild, that's all," lied the Dreyer. "I don't care what you're doing," Kageyama said, deadpanning at the older mage. "You have been hurt, young man. You should not be wandering around the woods in that kind of condition," Makarov said, looking at Kageyama's injured form. "You're probably right," he said before he got a good look at the older man in front of him. "Wait, is that's Makarov of the Fairy Tail Guild? Why do I keep running into these fools?" Perhaps I have someone to test the flute out on, he thought, smirking internally. Excuse me, sir, he said, getting Makarov's attention. I don't suppose you would mind hearing my song. They would not let me play it where I come from, and I could really like someone's opinion on how good it sounds. Lied the shadow user. That's a very creepy looking flute you have there, young man. Makarov said, making Kageyama chuckle. I know, but it has a very beautiful sound, he insisted, making Makarov sigh. Well, I should really be going, but I guess one song could not hurt, he said as he now stood in front of Kageyama, waiting to hear the song. Okay, young man, I'll listen to one of your songs. Accepted the guild master. Okay, thank you, sir. Be sure to listen very carefully. Very carefully, he said, thinking the last two words in his mind. Slowly Kageyama brought this flute up to his lips, now only inches away. This is it, he thought. This is what I and the entire Eisenwald guild have been waiting for. I will do what not even Aragorn could do and will defeat the master, starting with the master of Fairy Tail. Who would want to join a legal guild anyway? They suck. Those Fairy Tail guys are too weak to be talking such big talk. The lullaby song will be our revenge against those who stripped us of our ranks and forced us into the darkness. Well, I have not got all day. I have a thing I really must do, so play your song. Makarov said. Yes, they will be finished, Kageyama thought, his lips now touched the flute. Ready to kill the old man. Scene change. Naruto and the Fairy Tail mages were currently going fast to Clover to stop the Eisenwald mage. Urza told her guildmates to not question him on why he is here for the time being. Only she as leader will do that. Why are you helping us? The Riadite asked. Not that she wasn't happy with having another S-class mage helping them, but she had to sure. Because these people are trash that needs to be put behind bars. He answered her, plus they have an item of Zerif. If they are skilled enough to use it, then it would be used to slaughter innocent. That item should be destroyed so incidents like this don't happen. The mages noticed he referred to the Eisenwald mages as trash. Clover Town. With Makarov and Kageyama. Goodbye, fairy trash. He thought and took a deep breath. Prepared to use the flute. However, just before he could blow into the flute making the lullaby song be heard, a giant hand swatted him down to the ground and pinned him there. Hey, what the hell are you doing? He shouted but saw the serious look Makarov was giving him. Tile, do you really think I don't know a cursed weapon when I see one, he said, shocking not only Kageyama, but the Fairy Tail mages who just arrived and started watching as well. Nothing will change, you know, Makarov said, glancing down at Kageyama. Using that tool, I mean. What would you know? Kageyama shouted at Makarov, causing the older man to sigh and look up at the starry sky. You cannot change the fact that those that are weak will most likely remain weak. But if you ask me, I don't think that is a bad thing. We are only human and all humans are weak by nature. Our insecurities that everyone has are the reason guilds exist and why we all have friends. When we are surrounded by friends and allies, it is easier to stay positive. Think of it this way. If we are clumsy and we stump and tumble into things, but as long as we continue to look forward, everyone's inner strength will be shown. But we have to pledge our lives and live to the fullest. Don't let the dark paths and that silly flute get in the way of that. As Makarov finished his speech, a breeze swept through the area as Kageyama's eyes winded, listening to the speech Makarov had just said to him. My inner strength. Do I really still have it? He thought. Have I really become so low that I would retort to hurting innocent people? Now that I think about it, it's no one's fault but our own. It was our guild's fault for breaking the laws in the first place. Have I really fallen so low? He thought as he was still buried beneath the giant hand of Makarov. Kageyama looked up to Makarov's face, and instead of seeing a stern guildmaster that would hurt him, he saw an old man with a kind smile who wanted to help him go back on the right path in life. He took a deep breath before he put his head gently on the ground and released the lullaby flute. I give up, I surrender, he said loud enough for everyone to hear him. Good choice, Makarov said, smiling down at him before he heard rushing footsteps coming towards him and the shouts of master being heard. He turned around to see Urza, Natsu, Gray, Happy and Lucy running towards him with a teen he has never seen before walking with them. When they got closer, he inspected the stranger and recognized him immediately as the crimson-eyed god. Someone who was an enigma. From what rumors say, he doesn't kill but sends the more evil ones in a coma. Another rumor, which is more likely gossip, is that he is in a relationship with councilwoman Altier Milkovich. What the? How did you kids end up in Clover? He asked before Urza brought him into a hug, smacking his head against her armor. Master Makarov, your words touched me so deeply that I was almost moved to tears, said Titania. The wizard Sane was just about to use Uzumaki. But before he could, a wave of dark magic erupted from the lullaby flute on the ground, with the three eyes beginning to glow purple and black mist began to shoot out of it. In the sky, a huge purple magic seal covered the sky. I will no longer hold back. I will come forth and devour every single one of your cells. A loud booming voice yelled out. Some were slightly afraid while others just raised an eyebrow. What is that? It's huge. Lucy was so startled that she took a step backwards, only to trip over her own feet and fall on her rear. Ah. We're dead. Happy quickly ran around Lucy, cowering and shaking behind the now seated girl. Ooh. I'm starving. I can smell some tasty souls nearby. I'm gonna eat them all. A giant monster made of warped-looking wood casually surveyed the area around it, clenching and releasing its clawed hand slowly. Just a moment ago that monster had been a small flute called Lullaby, something caused it to change into the demon before them. Lucy's attention snapped over to Natsu when he let out a yell, then tossed Gray an absurd question, souls are edible. Are they tasty too? Not paying attention to whatever Gray's response might have been, she instead turned her focus towards the guild master, Makarov, who was standing next to her with a pensive look on his face. Several masters of other guilds were also standing nearby. That's a demon, right? How could it come out of a regular flute? Asked a frightened celestial mage. Makarov closed his eyes and sighed, the devil was the flute. It was given a life by living magic, something only Zareth could do. That's probably why the flute had its own name, Lullaby. Living magic? Questioned Lucy. Makarov nodded and looked off to the distance. Lucy followed his gaze to see Urza and Gray prepare an attack against the demon. Living magic is something that gives life to inanimate objects. Zareth usually chose to use the souls of demons when he gave life to the objects. It is one of the reasons why he was so feared. The flute was a leftover artifact from long ago. Urza quickly went into Heaven's wheel armor and slashed her swords against the right side of Lullaby's chest, earning a cry of pain from the giant demon. You damn human, I am going to enjoy eating you, but in his rage, he didn't hear the words ice make lance. All of a sudden a blue magic seal formed in front of Gray and dozens of long ice spades shot out against the demon, earning him a cry of pain from Lullaby. Salamander, I want you to use Carrick no HMKM Fire Dragon's Roar, said Naruto. The son of Igneel nodded. Carrick no HMKM, he yelled, and a red magic circle appeared and he fired it. Ton. Tatapa, said the former Konoha shinobi. Their attacks mixed together to form a much stronger attack, which almost completely decimated the demon. Brah, that's it, hear my song, fleshlings. Screamed in anger the creation of Zareth. And then nothing happened because said demon was way too damaged to sing its tone. Everyone's sweet dropped while thinking that was anticlimactic. Ah hey, I can't believe it, that was the biggest fail ever. I can see now why you were named Lullaby. Even Zareth knew you were weak and decided to give you such a badass name, said Naruto laughing. Everyone started laughing at that while the wood-like demon became enraged. Ah, you piece of shit, roared the manly named demon. Naruto saw the creature of the dark mage was about to attack. He hastily flashed trough hand seals and yelled. Pain. Nkakik no jutsu. When those words left his mouth he shot a giant fireball straight in Lullaby's head, effectively defeating the demon. Everyone was staring at him at the moment before he smirked. But I am not an S-class just because of my dashing good looks, said Naruto, which brought people's attention back to him. By the way, can I join Fairy Tail, asked the Uzumaki. Everyone had different reactions to the question. Natsu was happy because he would be able to fight him, the other Fairy Tail mages were shocked. The guild masters were crying in tears because Makarov hit the jackpot with another new mage. And why would you want to join our guild, asked a serious wizard saint. It is getting boring being an independent mage, and a friend told me it would be good for me to join a guild. The blonde answered honestly. He remembered what Ultier told him. Flashback. Naruto and Ultier are currently in a small cafe. They are currently on the topic about guilds after the former Leaf Ninja told her about where he came from and what his past is. She immediately told him he had to join a guild. Ultier-chan, I am not ready to join a guild yet. He said I don't need to. I get a decent amount of pay, what's the problem? The problem is that you still haven't gotten over your teacher's death, Naruto-kun. And joining a guild is your best course of action. You can have bonds between comrades again, you will be able to continue with your life. She finished. Flashback end. I can see he is not evil, that much is clear. But he seems to be carrying a burden. Though the grandfather of Laxus. Well, you can join, said the Titan magic user with a smile. Okay, I will come to the guild in a week, I have to do something first, said the legacy of Minato Namikaze. The master nodded like everyone but Natsu, who shouted at him to fight him. Near Perusuka's house. Naruto stood in the forest in front of two graves, each had a Konoha headband on it. The first one was written Uchiha Itachi, a true shinobi. The one next it was written Hada Kakashi. Hey, sensei, I haven't talked to you in a while. I was finally able to join a guild mainly because of that friend I talked to you about, said the former Toad Summoner. You know, it's kind of ironic I am here talking to you the same way you used to talk to Obito. Naruto started walking away before saying, I will see you in a few months, sensei. I wonder what will it be like in Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail. As the blonde walked in, the first thing he saw was a small brawl, a young woman with long, wavy, flowing brown hair, almost reaching down to her waist, brown eyes and big breasts, who was drinking ale out. Damn, that's the Nidame Tsunade. I just hope she doesn't have Bachan's temper. A sexy barmaid, she is a slim young woman of below average height. She has long, silver hair, which gets slightly curly at the ends, with two bangs framing her face and reaching down to her ample chest, and whose most distinctive trait is a short upward ponytail. On the bar were Macau Conbolt and Wakaba Mine. When the Sharingan user saw the master. "Hey old man, I am here." When he said that, everyone looked at him. Then the master, who smiled. "Hey there Naruto. Let's get your fairy tail mark," Makarov said as he began to reach behind the bar and get the fairy tail stamp. "In what color and where do you want the mark?" asked the guild master. "Well, I want it on my right arm in blue," said Naruto with a smile. The old man put the stamp on the top of his right arm. "And there we have it," Makarov said. "Welcome to the fairy tale." To which everyone in the guild then started cheering. "Let's fight," came a loud yell of Natsu Dragneel. He was more than excited. He was going to fight a mage who could use fire just like him. What's even better is that his opponent was well known and very strong. "I got nothing better to do, so okay," said the Uzumaki. He could get used to this. But he only hoped that him fighting the salamander won't be a daily occurrence. The end. Flashback 1 year and 6 months ago. Elemental Nations, Konoha. News just reached Tsunade of what happened about the battle between the Akatsuki and the Copy Ninja and the Jinchuriki of Kyuubi. The news of the battle were grim. The Konoha team and Itachi have disappeared. She was drinking her sorrows out, thinking that the only family she had left died. "Why are you drinking?" asked the Toad Sage as he entered Trough the window. His had a bit of edge in it, but his fellow Sannin didn't notice. "Why the fuck not, Jiraiya, huh?" asked the Hokage with obvious anger and sadness in her voice. The only family I had left died, but this time it died because of me. For the good of the fucking village, she yelled out. "Shut up," roared Jiraiya. Tsunade was surprised her teammate that he shouted at her like that. Not only do you fucking let him out of the village without fucking informing me, you have the guts to drink and wallow in self-pity. Instead of looking for him. He is alive, Tsunade, and I know it because the toad sends his life force because of the contract. "Are you sure?" asked the Godin with a shaky voice. "Yes, and I am going to find him. I was thinking of checking a hint on the Akatsuki leader being an Omegaker, but that can wait. I need to find my godson first," finished her teammate. "Okay Jiraiya, I am counting on you for this, just please bring him back," she said in a pleading tone. The Toad Sannin nodded and left. "Now time for a council meeting," said the Slug Princess with a sigh. Council meeting. The council chamber was full. From the civilians and ninjas to the clan heads, the elders and of course the Hokage herself were there. The clan heads were Hiashi Hyuga, Tsumen Yazuka, Shibi Aburam, Shikaku Nara, Inoichi Yamanaka and Choza Akamichi. Everyone was nervous, they just lost their Jinchuriki and an elite Jonin. The civilians were happy that the demon was finally dead, but were also scared that war might come from his death. "Let the meeting begin," said the Slug Sannin. "Hokage-sama, are you sure that the Jinchuriki is dead?" asked the Hyuga. Hiashi didn't hate Naruto, but like all the clan heads he didn't like him either. "Yes he is," lied the Senju. "The less people know, the less chance of Naruto being captured by Akatsuki. If they think he is dead, then he will be safer." Danzo was pissed. "How can that little bitch lose our Jinchuriki? He could have been the perfect weapon," doubted the elder. The rest of the meeting was about how to compensate for the loss of the human sacrifice. When news about Naruto's death reached his friends, everyone was shocked. Shikamaru Nara and Choji Akamichi felt great pain in their hearts that their friend comrade died fighting the Akatsuki. They started training twice as hard as before, and the Nara got promoted to Jonin on the next exam. Sakura Haruno and Hinata Hyuga both openly cried that their love interest teammate died and went in depression for a month. Niji Hyuga started bringing fate up again, even if not to the extent he was before, he still did. Rock Lee decided to take a break from training for a while to mourn his friend, and Kiba Inuzuka did the same as Lee. Shino Aburam Ketli mourned the Uzumaki's death. Ino Yamanaka and Tenten were indifferent to his death because they never really knew him that well. Omegaker, the leader of the Rain Village Pain in his Diva Path, was speaking with Toby about the host of the Kyuubi. Diva Path had spiky orange hair and his eyes had a ripple-like pattern which spreads over the eyeballs, with light purple irises and sclera and dot-like pupil. With the standard Akatsuki cloak. "Can we trace him to the dimension where he is currently?" asked the Rinnegan user. "No, we can't. In order for me to find where he is, he has to open a gateway to our world. If he does that, I will be able to follow him. Until then, we do jungle warfare with the hidden villages." Pain nodded and walked back in. Flashback end. Earthland. "Fight, fight," the crowd chanted as Natsu and Naruto stood opposite each other, both with a look of confidence showing on the former and a look of laziness on the latter's face. No way are they actually going through with this. Lucy said, arriving at the scene, and pushed her way through the crowd to see Natsu and Naruto standing there. Hey Lucy, over here, Mira called over, who was standing with Gray, Urza, Elfman and Happy. Lucy walked over and joined the group. So who do you think will win this fight? She asked and had Gray answer the question for her. As much as Natsu has improved and he has gotten stronger as of late, this guy is an S-class for a reason. He is able to use 4 elements and illusions, while Natsu can use only fire. Naruto also has more experience than Natsu. But I'm sure Natsu won't embarrass himself, said the Ice Make user. If those two value their manliness, then they better give us a very good match, Elfman said. Are you ready? Naruto said. The Dragon Slayer clearly exited. The student of Kakashi reached into his pouch, making everyone expect for him to pull out a weapon of sorts. But he took out a familiar orange book from his pouch, making everyone sweat drop. "Yay, come at me," responded the blonde. The pink-haired boy got a tick mark on his forehead. Was he being considered that weak that you could read a book while fighting him? "I am going to burn that orange book of yours," shouted the son of Igniel. Natsu leaped in for a punch, but the blonde dodged. The Dragon Slayer started throwing kicks and punches, but nothing worked. Everyone looked surprised that this battle was similar to that of a child versus an adult. Natsu took a deep breath and shouted Karak no HMKM and released a stream of fire at Naruto. Everyone was surprised that the Uzumaki got hit by the spell. So he focuses his magic and makes his lungs like that of a dragon like Wendy. But while she was more support-orientated, he is way more offensive. And I lies the crimson-eyed young man. "That will teach you for underestimating me," said Natsu proudly. But he didn't sense the blonde behind him ready to one of his most painful attacks. Hanahagakure hide into Jutsu Guy. Senengarashi, Konoha's secret forbidden to Jutsu attack. 1,000 years of death. The mage felt extreme pain in his rear and flew in the air before crashing in the ground. Everyone was shocked at the technique and started laughing at Natsu's expense. Everyone saw a log where the blonde was hit. "That move was not manly," said Elfman with a disapproving frown. "Ha laughed, rolling on the ground. Gray. I guess I was wrong after all, he did embarrass himself. Ha. The Uzumaki chuckled at the scene. It was like Team 7's test when they became genin. "You bastard, I am gonna beat the living shit out you," Fire Dragon's iron punch. The pink-haired teen's fist was coated in fire. It was aimed straight at the blonde's face, but the said blonde sidestepped him. The former genin counterattacked by closing his book. Itcha chop," said Naruto and slammed his book on the Dragon Slayer's skull. Natsu in his second attack was able to take Naruto's book. "Before I burn it, I want to see what is so interesting that you had to read it while we are fighting." He flipped on a random page and started reading. "Okay, now let's see." As Takeshi entered Hitomi's room, he saw her waiting for him, only her leather panties. Takeshi, immediately after seeing her big naked breasts, immediately wanted to get some. "Hitomi-chan, I can't help myself anymore, I need to take you and make you mine," said Takeshi in a husky voice. "Ooh, please take me tonight, Takeshi-kun, I can't help myself anymore," said a very horny Hitomi. "And the Naruto, you are a pervert." After Natsu read out loud, people had different thoughts on the matter. "Such a fine piece of art. I must ask Naruto-chan to give me a copy," thought Makarov with a perverted smile across his face. "I can't believe someone as strong and famous like him can be a pervert," thought Lucy. "What an idiot, reading it in broad daylight in front of everyone. After this is over he is going to get a piece of my mind," thought the Scarlet. Sensing the death glare his way, he thought. Damn, I have to defuse the situation fast. Okay, what did Hirosenin teach me to do in these situations? A Chibi Jiraiya appeared on his shoulder and told him. "Run," yelled out Chibi Jiraiya. "No, she is gonna catch me," answered the student. "Blame someone else," questioned Chibi Jiraiya. "I can't, everyone saw me," said Naruto. Chibi Jiraiya started to think for a bit while Naruto was sweating buckets because of the death glare he is receiving. Chibi Jiraiya got a light bulb above his head and told his student to play the fool. "Oh my god, someone must have switched my literature with this book," started his lie the Uzumaki. "I don't know who might this fiend be, but I am clearly framed, oh lord," exclaimed over dramatic way. He was hoping that Titania will buy his lie. But unfortunately for him, the death glare increased tenfold because of the bad lie and making everyone sweat drop to his obvious lie. "Hirosenin, what now?" asked the ninja. "Now my student is the time where you are fucked, so bye. And the Chibi pervert disappeared. "Traitor," mentally yelled the blonde. But just before anything bad could happen, a loud clap was heard. Everyone turned around and saw a lizard creature wearing a white uniform with a blue jacket and hat a small platoon on rune knights around with it. Everyone knew immediately that he or she was sent by the council. "This fight is over," the messenger said. "I am here on behalf of the Honorary Magic Council," it said, getting surprised looks from most of the mages. "Why would the council send her here?" asked Gray, getting shrugs from everyone else. As a result of the Eisenwald incident, 2 members of the Fairy Tail Guild has been charged with 11 counts of property damage, it said, but what came next left the entire guild in shock. Urza Scarlet and Naruto Uzumaki, you are both under arrest, she said as the Rune Knights appeared around them. Wait, what, why? Natsu shouted. Why does the fight have to end just when he got fired up? The rest of the guild started protesting. Naruto felt happy even if he is here for less than a day, these mages already see him as family and accepted him, something Konoha was unable to do. It felt good to know that you are accepted without having to constantly prove yourself. Do the council have the power to just arrest people just like that? Asked Lucy. The Mage Council and Era, they are the ones who are pretty much the law for anyone who uses magic, and they control the structure of the guilds. Well, for Fiori at least. Answered Gray. Even if something is white, once a council member says it's black, then it becomes black. What are the charges against us? Messenger the Sharingan user asked the amphibian. Urza Scarlet is charged with major property damage and other crimes during the incident with the Dark Guild Eisenwald the other day. Uzumaki Naruto is charged with major property damage from X773 to X774, now would you two please come with us? Answered the lizard creature. Let me out of here, damn it. Lucy watched as a transformed Natsu pounded on the inside of the class case he was set in. The mood of the entire guild was sour, no one was really saying anything other than Natsu's yelling. You guys have got to let me out of here. I want my original form back. Said the transformed dragon slayer. Natsu, be quiet. Said the barmaid. Murahan lightly tapped on the glass container, causing Natsu to frown. It wasn't much of one, as he was transformed into a miniature reptile with lots of teeth and thin lips, though his mood was made clear enough by the growl deep in his throat. Let me out. He shouted. You'll act too recklessly if we let you out of there. No, I won't, I swear. I just want my original body back, this is humiliating. Pleaded the transformed Rosette. The silver-haired young woman leaned down close to the glass container from her position behind the bar. I know you all too well. As soon as we let you out, you'll bolt and head towards where they were taking Naruto and Urza. No, I won't. Besides, if anyone does anything, it should be the old man. Everyone in the guild turned their heads to Makarov Dreyer, the guild master and member of the 10 wizard saints who just sided. My hands are tied in this situation, Natsu. Said the wizard saint. We should at least go and testify for them and help then in a way we can, said the salamander. Something didn't sit well with Lucy. There was something weird going on, but she couldn't put her finger on what exactly was it. Hello Urza. It's been a while. Looking around, she noticed a form started to materialize near one of the columns in the hallway they had been walking down. After a moment, the form completed and both Urza's and her escort's eyes went wide and quickly bowed on one knee. A young man with blue hair and a strange reddish marking tattoo under and above his right eye. His name was Joel Fernandez, or how he is called by his fake identity, Seagrain. He dressed himself in elegant yet simple robes consisting of a long white tunic with black stripes across the edges and on the upper part of the arms, a decorated collar, large straps connected to decorated buckles, closing the inducement on the front over a dark shirt and matching pants and shoes. He also sported a ring on his right hand's middle finger and usually had the medallion attesting his status as one of the 10 wizard saints around his neck, hidden by his jacket's collar. Seagrain. What do you want? Titania asked with no small anger in her voice. He continued to walk, choosing not to answer immediately. Relax, Urza. This form is only an thought image, as I'm sure you're probably aware. I can't harm you any more than you can me, nor can I interact with anything physically. My real body is still in here. The same goes for all the other old fools behind the doors to the trial room. This whole thing is a facade and they know it. There is no reason for anyone to come here with their real bodies. Said the wizard saint calmly. So, you were the one that caused this after all. Why am I not surprised? Said the strongest female in Fairy Tail. He chuckled lightly, shaking his head. My oh my, so quick to blame me. I'm the one who usually backs Fairy Tail's actions during the council meetings. He said in matter-of-factly tone. Urza simply growled at him, causing the corner of his lips to quirk upwards. Anyway, to appease both the council and the public, this was deemed the best and safest course of action. You get to be the scapegoat. But I'm certain you are smart enough to have figured this out all on your own. Whatever. If that's all, go away. I'd like to get this over with. She said, annoyance clear in her tone. Grinning, Seagrain moved closer, making the Redeed tense up. Just as a reminder, all those old bats that are behind the door as well with their imaginary forms, and I will be joining them shortly. There was a reason I decided to chat with you before you went in there, though. Seagrain moved even closer, his image flickering again at the sudden movement. His hand moved up, as if cupping Urza's chin, even though she couldn't feel anything, the action itself sent a disgusting chill down her spine. Leaning his head close to her shoulder, he whispered to her, "Never tell the others in that room about what happened back then, okay? It would probably be bad for both of us." Ah, whispered, causing her to adopt a sad look. "You know, Urza, I have a gift for you. You being the good girl you have been for all these years. Plus it will make the game a lot more interesting for me. Your blonde friend will play a big part in my plans," he said with an evil smirk on his face. Enjoying the shocked look on her face. "Now see you in the chambers, bye," he continued in a sing-song voice. She was brought out of her stupor when she saw Naruto talking with a councilwoman. Nah, Altier-chan Urza is not so uptight as you said she is. Actually, if you ask me, she is quite a fun person," said the blonde ninja. Altier just shook her head. "DSK, you don't know her, Naruto-kun." She then gave him a quick kiss on the lips and disappeared. Now she was surprised. Her new guildmate was not only on really good terms with this councilwoman, but it appears they are in a relationship. She wasn't sure why, but she felt a twinge of jealousy. But quickly shrugged it off and they entered the trial chamber. Trial chamber. The thought projections of the council were assembled. "Mr. Uzumaki and Miss Scarlet here, let the meeting commence," commanded the messenger. "Miss Scarlet, is it true that you were responsible for causing people to flee a train, destroy a train station and town due to panic and fear during the Eisenwald incident?" questioned the chairman. "I plead guilty," she said with a confident voice and head hung up high. "Mr. Uzumaki, you are charged with major collateral damage from X863 to X864. How do you plead?" asked Org. He, an old man with a large grey beard and mustache. He has pointy ears and has a habit of only opening one eye. Org wears many layers of robes, like other Magic Council members do. On his head, a small bat-like creature can be seen. Altier had one thought in her mind. "Why do I have the feeling that he is going to piss them off a lot?" Naruto was still reading his book, not paying attention. "Mr. Uzumaki, answer the question that is given to you," said Michello, who is a short old man with brown hair and a mustache. His tufts of hair resemble ears and what appears to be a light yellow tail gives him a cat-like appearance. He wears many layers of robes, like other Magic Council members do. With quite a bit of anger in his voice. Naruto slowly turned his attention to the man. "Say something?" he asked while still reading his Icha. Everyone was shocked at his blatant disrespect for the council. "Funny guy, it is a shame we are going to have to sacrifice him to Zero-sama," thought Jell. "You will show respect to the council," exclaimed Org. "This brat is even worse than Altier and Seagrain," thought the Org. "Or what, you are going to throw me in jail?" "Been there, done that," said the male fairy tale mage with slight anger in his voice. "The idiots are almost the exact copy of the council in Konoha. And I swear every time I see them they get even more annoying. Why should I show you respect, huh? You can't even grace us with your presence and yet you demand respect from me," exclaimed the ninja. "Of course we won't be here with our bodies, it's absurd to come for such trivial matters," said Belno. She is a tall elderly woman. She wears a cloak like other council members and has on a purple turtleneck. Her most noticeable trait is her long nose, which gives her more of a witch-like appearance. She has sandy blonde hair, which she ties up into a large ponytail. "Then if it is so trivial, why are we here?" asked the Uzumaki. "Because you did collateral damage," she answered. "And if we didn't, a lot of people would have died. Are you telling me that you prefer innocent lives to be lost instead of a few damaged buildings?" asked Naruto with fake curiosity. It didn't take a genius to find out he was mocking them. How dare he mock them in front of people? That's it, take them to the holding cell. But right before they could be taken to the cell, the wall crashed and in stood Natsu and Happy. Natsu had a blonde wig and a black cloak and was reading a book while trying his best to seem lazy. While Happy had a red wig and a fish in his hand, trying to look intimidating and aggressive. "We are the true Uzumaki, Naruto and Scarlet Urza. I am Naruto and I have freaky red eyes and I am a pervert," exclaimed Natsu, completely losing his lazy act. "I am Scarlet Urza, I love swords and I am gonna kick all your asses," yelled out Happy, swinging his fish like a sword. "Happy? Urza is not a pirate," said the badly imitated Naruto. Making everyone sweat drop. "Send all 4 of them in jail," ordered Org. "Great, how did these fools get here?" Fairy Tail. In Fairy Tail it got silent when Natsu burst in a puff of everyone turned to see what happened, only to see Mikao sitting on top of the counter where Natsu used to be, the glass cage sitting on its side nearby. Various exclamations were thrown about, most about Natsu's location and what Mikao was doing on the counter, but he gestured for everyone to settle down. "Sorry about that, everyone. I took Natsu's place because I owed him a favor. I just transformed into a lizard so I could pretend to be him," said Mikao sheepishly. Lucy was shocked, as was everyone else, judging by the new questions being tossed around. "But then where is the real Natsu?" asked the celestial mage. "Has he been going after Naruto and Urza all this time?" asked Gray. Oh no, what's going to happen when Natsu encounters the council? Knowing him, he'll challenge them and attack them. Everyone, calm down. The guild members hearing their master's voice, all activity settled down immediately. I didn't want to tell you, but this trial is just for showing that the council enforces their law and that every guild is bound by it. No playing favorites. They won't get almost any punishment. Everyone had their jaws hitting the ground. They have all been worrying for nothing. Prison cell. The Crimson-Eyed God, the Titania and the Salamander were in the prison cell for the night. I were absolutely bored. Since we are in the same guild, we should take the time to know each other. What are your likes, dislikes, hobbies and dreams for the future? Said the child of prophecy. I really hope it works like it worked for Kakashi-sensei. I will start. My likes are Icha, ramen and training. My dislikes are traders and a certain village. My hobbies are writing and my dreams are to be the best mage I can be. He said. Okay, maybe not mage exactly, but they go the idea. He added as an afterthought. My name is Natsu Dragneel. My likes are fire and my guild mates. My dislikes are assholes. My hopes for the future are to defeat Urza, Laxus and you. My dream is to find Igneel. Said the dragon slayer. So his dragon left him too. Interesting. According to Wendy, her dragon left her as well. She told me Grandini left her on July 7, Act 777. From what I was able to dug up on, Natsu joined Fairy Tail around Act 778. So his dragon must have at the same time. July 7 Act 777 is important, but I don't have all the pieces of the puzzle yet. Thought the Uzumaki. My name is Urza Scarlet. My likes are my guild and swords. My dislikes are undisciplined people, traitors and maniacs. My hobbies are reading. My dreams for the future is to bring pride to the guild. And find a way to save the people in the Tower of Heaven. Naruto, is it true that you can use 4 elements? Asked the owner of Talking Cat. Naruto nodded and said. Yes, I can use fire, wind, water and lightning. Say, Natsu, wanna see a trick? Yay, show me. Exclaimed the Dragneel. Urza was also interested in what kind of trick he will show. Everyone stared at him when he waved his hand in front of them. Then much to their surprise, a crow started forming into his hand. The crow was pitch black, but its unusual feature was that it had blood-red eyes with 3 tomo in each. Natsu immediately went to touch it, but the crow bit his finger off. Ah, he screamed in pain. Urza was shocked that this happened, but before she could speak, Natsu's finger was there attached to his arm as if nothing happened. Wow, how did you do that? He asked. Naruto made a sad look. It was an illusion I trapped you both in. Most of my illusions are crow-themed. How did you come up with it? Asked Natsu. You can say that it was like a legacy being passed down to me, answered the crow user, well remembering just what happened. Flashback. It had been 6 months since the blonde arrived in Earthland. And he was already making a name for himself with his use of elemental techniques. He was currently trying to unlock his left Manjicum Sharingan, Kaleidoscope Copy Wheel Eye. Normally to unlock it you need to kill one of your most precious people. But in the former shinobi's case, it was already unlocked by its former owner, but has been dormant. Like Kakashi's was dormant for 20 years and then it suddenly unlocks. He was trying and trying, but nothing seemed to happen until he was pulled in his mindscape. Mindscape. The Biju container's mindscape was not a pretty one. It was a sewer with giant cage bars with a small paper with the word seal written on it. In front of him stood Uchiha Itachi. When the Kyuubi saw the Uchiha, he knew what was going to happen, so he stood quiet. Half a year ago Naruto would have been hostile to the former Anbu captain, but one question was plaguing his mind. Why would a Akatsuki member give him his Sharingan? Wouldn't it be easier target if he didn't receive it? Itachi stood there when suddenly his body erupted into crows which circled Naruto, each with glowing eyes transmitting memories into the blonde's head. From his childhood, which traumatized the black-haired young man, making him into a pacifist. The night of the Uchiha massacre, which he was ordered to do because the clan was planning a competitive against the Hokage. Naruto was able to see Itachi's life in Akatsuki alongside his partner Kisame. And was quite frankly shocked. The Uchiha started to dissolve, but not before saying. Make your own path in the world, and then he disappeared. Naruto was asleep for 2 days after this incident. Being forced to see all the memories of the Uchiha in such a short amount of time. When he awoke and tried to activate his Manjicum Sharingan, it worked. His 3 tomo morphed into a tri-bladed shuriken. From that day on he started practicing his genjutsu. The fact that he had the memories didn't mean he could just do them. No, they were more of a guide on how to do it. He increased his chakra control by a ton. He was also able to learn some ninjutsu from Itachi's memories as well. Flashback end. What did you use against Eriger team? Asked Natsu. Naruto contemplated whether to tell him about Tsukiyomi. But decided that he should, since everyone knew that his strongest illusion is cast with eye contact. I used Tsukiyomi. I trap my opponent in an illusion where I control everything including the perception of time. Where torture them for 3 days where I torture them, Ha explained darkly. Making the mage's eye widen in shock. Is that a dark art? Asked Eurydice seriously. I don't know, it was passed down to me, but the technique does have a price. It normally slowly makes you blind. They were shocked at the price. I have a unique healing factor that prevents me from having permanent blindness, but if I overuse it, I may become temporarily blind. He finished his explanation. Then his expression turned playful. Natsu, did you enjoy my book? He asked. The pink-haired boy's face turned red with embarrassment. Of course not. I am not a pervert like you. He exclaimed at his senior. Naruto chuckled. Natsu was just like him when he was younger. Naruto ignored Natsu's rant. Urza started to walk towards him intending to take that book from him and scold him for reading smut in front of everyone. But as she was walking she accidentally tripped on the pink-haired boy's foot. Time seemed to slow down as she descended towards the blonde. The result being that she fell into his lap and kissed him. Natsu looked shocked at the scene before him. Altair Milkovich's thought image was walking down to the prison cell in which the crimson-eyed young man was staying. She was expecting to see him annoyed of bored because the dragon slayer was loud and Titania was either cold as ice or hot like fire. She walked in the scene before her. There were anger, jealousy. Redared slut. She is trying to seduce him. What the fuck is happening here? She asked. Her anger being barely restrained. It's not what it looks like, Altair-chan, Dadabeo. The pink-haired idiot tripped her. Exclaimed the red-eyed 18-year-old. Altair looked at Urza with anger, then at Natsu. Altair-san, this was really an accident because of him, said Urza calmly while on the inside she was disappointed that the kiss ended. It's Milkovich Sama to you. We are going to have a talk, Naruto. She huffed and her thought image disappeared. Damn that bitch kissing my man, how dare she. If only I could get her punish, ag. Thought the really angry and woman. When she calmed down 15 minutes later. I can't believe I got jealous. She thought with a sigh. Uzumaki Naruto, ever since you came into my life I started to change a lot. For better or worse, I don't regret meeting you, I am actually happy that I did. She thought with a small smile on her face. Fairy Tail. When they entered everyone cheered and started to ask questions about what happened. Naruto used Shunshin and got to Makarov. I need to tell you something, the black-clad ninja asked. The master nodded. What for my boy? Asked the guildmaster curiously. I am going to tell you where I come from, said Naruto with full seriousness. The master nodded and they went inside his cabinet. The end. How the situation could have played out. Altair walked in on the scene and immediately got horny when watching her boyfriend with the redeed. I can't contain so happy birthday Naruto-kun. When Naruto saw his girlfriend he was shocked, this can get really bad really fast. Altair-chan, it is not what it looks like, Dadabeo, he exclaimed afraid. She smashed her lips against his before letting go. I know what it is and I am willing to share, what about you Urza-chan? She asked with a sultry voice. Urza smirked. I couldn't agree more and took of her armor. Natsu got an enormous nosebleed. So he does have an inner pervert in him, interesting. Perhaps I should take him on as my apprentice. Thought Naruto before he got the best night of his life by the two sexy women. On another note, Jiraiya suddenly felt an enormous amount of pride in his student for his student. Chapter 5. First day in the guild. Demon summon talking. Demon summon thinking. Normal human speaking. Flashback human thinking. Disclaimer. I do not own Naruto or Fairy Tail. They are owned by Masashi Kishimoto and Hiro Mishima. Hey, I am back with a new chapter. This one is basically filler, so it will be a shorter than usual chapter. Enjoy. Important. Dragon Force. I am going to make some changes for the sake of story. Since Dragon Force is a Dragon Slayer's ultimate form. First off, I am increasing the durability of the user. But second generation Dragon Slayer's Dragon Force will be weaker than the first generations. But will still be powerful because they can enter Dragon Force whenever they want. LIGHTNINGBLADE 49. The reason Naruto is telling Makarov his story is because he is a Jinchuriki and Makarov as guildmaster should know. And he explained everything else because it was vital for the master to know. Naruto will still fight pain and Ibido. Raging Berserker. I am not from an English-speaking country. BBZSOTRUM9. Yes, she will read Icha XD. Best. The reason I called it Don't Look the Devil in the Eyes. I came up with it while listening to one of my favorite SONGs Dance with the Devil Breaking Benjamin. I don't think Naruto putting his enemies in a COMA with Tsukiyomi is excessive, those are the effects of the Justu. Zemiscus. Susanoo Chop XD. The Naruto the Master's cabinet really reminded him of the Hokage's cabinet. But the atmosphere in Makarov's office was better. The reason is quite simple. You know that you will not be sent on a suicide mission. The truth is that I am not from Earthland, said younger man. So you are from Idolas, asked the old man. He won't be too surprised if the young man was from Idolas. One of his closest friends was from there and Mystigan as well. No, I come from a completely different dimension where we don't have magic but have chakra, said the blonde. Formulating how to explain chakra to the old mage. Can you explain to me this chakra? Asked the wizard saint. Now this was a shocker, a completely different world with a different power source. Definitely intriguing. Yes, chakra is the molding of the physical energy which is present in every cell of the body and the spiritual energy gained from exercise and experience. Once molded, it can be channeled through the chakra circulatory system, which is to chakra as the regular circulatory system is to blood, to any of the 361 chakra points. They are called tenketsu in the body. Understand? Makarov nodded, clearly interested. Most people have a natural affinity to one type of elemental chakra, but they have the capacity to create elemental chakra apart from their own affinity. There are 5 basic types, each stronger and weaker to another, but their relations, weaknesses and strengths to each other are all explored. My original affinity was for the wind element, but I trained a lot, so now I can use 3 more, which are water, lightning and fire. Explained Naruto. Can everyone from your world use so many elements? Asked the guild master. No, it depends on your chakra. Most people are limited to 2 elements. But the people who have mastered 2 elements are considered really strong. Answered Naruto. Since most Jonin level ninja. How did you get here? Asked Makarov. Me and my sensei were sent out of the village by them and we were ambushed by members of really powerful group. We were doing well until a third one came and slashed my eyes and knocked me out, said the blonde. These eyes were not my originally, they were given to me by my sensei and one of the 2 members, Naruto said with a sad sight. Makarov knew the look the boy had and decided not to ask about details. My eyes are a bloodline limit. Bloodline limits are abilities passed down genetically within specific clans. There are different types of them. Some allow a person to combine the elements into sub-elements. Example being combining water and wind to make ice. Makarov nodded in understanding. My eyes are defined with the term ninjutsu and their individual name is the Sharingan. The first of the Sharingan's powers is being able to see the flow of chakra and magic. The Sharingan itself gives color to magic and chakra, allowing me to differentiate them. They are also able to tell if a person is under illusion because the person's chakra or magic flow would be irregular. My eyes also allow me to track fast-moving objects and cast really powerful and hard to break free from illusions. My strongest abilities are making a hole in space and time and casting an extremely deadly illusion that puts my target in a coma. Makarov was shocked that someone can actually tear a hole in space and time and was also worried because someone might try to take these eyes for themselves. This is the most important thing I have to tell you. Said Naruto with a serious voice. What is it, my boy? Asked the Dreyer. I am the host of a demon. Said the younger man. He was slightly worried that the master will react like the people of Konoha did. What kind of demon? The 9-tailed fox, answered the student of Kakashi. Does it affect you in any way? When I was younger it did, its chakra would leak out when I was enraged. As for now it only heals my injuries faster, but if it tries to control my body, suppress it with my eyes. I can't use its chakra to my advantage in battle. Explained Naruto. How were you chosen to bear such a heavy burden, my boy? Asked the master. He noticed Naruto's features twisted into a scowl. On the day I was born the 9 tails attacked my village. The village leader couldn't defeat it, so he sealed it inside of me. My childhood was filled glares, beatings and hatred all directed at me. Makarov didn't need to hear the reason as to why this happened. He could connect the dots. Those foolish villagers probably lashed out their anger at the boy. The thought made him sick. He could see the anger that Naruto held for his home if his scowl and twitching arm were any indication. What the blonde wasn't expecting was a grandfatherly hug he received from the guild master. Don't worry, it is all behind you now. He said with a kind smile. Naruto's anger vanished and was replaced with a smile. Thanks, old man. After that Naruto explained to Makarov about everything about the elemental nations. After he left the master's office he walked to the table where Urza, Lucy, Gray and Natsu were sitting. The moment Natsu saw him he dashed at him. Let's finish our fight. The dragon slayer exclaimed. But before Naruto could answer he heard a sneer. Yeah, we all saw how weak you are already. The Uzumaki turned around and saw a very tall and muscular young man. His spiky blonde hair is slicked back, its numerous spiky strands pointing backwards, though some of it falls down on his forehead. He has a distinctive lightning bolt-shaped scar on his right eye. He wore SoundPod model of magic headphones. Next to him were Evergreen, Bixlow and Freed Justine, his personal bodyguards. Akka the Thunder God tribe. I want to test how strong you are, Naruto. Said the older blonde with confidence in his voice. Not in the mood, sorry. The younger blonde just shrugged and started to walk away. Laxus, clearly not happy with the answer, he grabbed the black-clad teen by the shoulder and attempted to punch him straight in the face. The Uzumaki blocked the punch from the Draer. Naruto went for a punch, but Laxus ducked beneath it and went for a kick at Naruto's abdomen. Naruto jumped back and threw one shuriken. "Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu," said the crimson-eyed teen. Laxus was surprised when that one shuriken turned to 20, so he rolled out of the way. Laxus quickly launched himself at Naruto, intending to kick him in the face. Naruto blocked the kick and grabbed Laxus's leg and smashed him on the floor. Laxus got up in an instant, kicked Naruto in the stomach. Evergreen, deciding that it was her time to join in. Fairy machine gun. Leprechaun Evergreen waved her arms, releasing a torrent of energy needles made from concentrated dust at Naruto. Suiton. TEPPMDAMA water, release. Gunshot, he shot a condensed water bullet, destroying the energy needles. Before it could hit her, Evergreen quickly dodged the attack. But before she could land, Naruto already went through a set of hand seals. Rage Kashiri no Jutsu lightning beast running technique. Naruto manipulated lightning chakra into his hand. The lightning started expand to create the form of a hound that rushed Evergreen. Her eyes were wide in shock because she didn't have time to dodge, but before it hit her, Laxus came with his fist coated in lightning, effectively stopping the attack. To everyone it seemed that Laxus's lightning was stronger, but for Naruto it was far from it. With his Sharingan he was able to see that the lightning wasn't nullified but absorbed into the Draer's body. Just like Natsu with fire and Wendy with air. Is he a dragon slayer? The red-eyed teen thought. He's strong. If I hadn't interfered he would have defeated Evergreen in only 2 moves. The Draer thought. Fire Dragon's iron punch. Since the grandson of Makarov wasn't paying attention to his surroundings, he received a powerful punch from Natsu in the gut, sending him a few feet back. "Hey, Blondie!" Evergreen yelled out. Naruto turned his head to her, making eye contact. She smirked when Naruto started to turn into stone, in the end becoming a stone statue. "Not so strong now," she said proudly. But to her shock the statue burst into crows and reformed back into Naruto, who had an impassive expression on his. To her fear the surroundings became a dark empty space. Naruto lost all color, the only exception being his blood-red eyes. "Impossible. I caught you with my stone eyes, you should be stone," she screamed at him. Not being able to comprehend how the tables have been turned on her. "Foolish, my ocular power is far superior to yours. The moment I saw you building magic I already knew what you were going to attempt, so I caught you first," said Naruto in a cold tone that was sending a chilling feeling down her spine. Before she knew what happened her body turned into paper that started to burn her from toe to head. Each one of the onlookers were surprised when Evergreen just fell into unconscious. Freed and Bixlo went next to Laxus, while Gray went to next to Naruto and Natsu. But before things could escalate any further the booming voice of the master stopped them. "Calm down everyone," Makarov said before he looked up towards Laxus. "That enough, Laxus. You do not attack a family member of this guild," Makarov said with a commanding voice. Laxus, who simply shrugged and looking around the guild to see most of the members glaring at him. He then looked at Naruto before giving a confident smirk. "Naruto Uzumaki, you and I will be fighting for the top," he said before he and rest of the Raijin tribe disappeared to the back on the guild. "Okay, time to win some easy money," thought Naruto with an evil smirk. "Why are you so sure that it will be you versus him and not Mystigan?" asked a curious Freed. He saw how he defeated Evergreen easily, but he had never seen his leader so excited for a fight before. "Call it a feeling in my gut that's telling me," answered Laxus. Freed just nodded and they continued. "Hana wanna make a bet?" the Uzumaki asked innocently. The brown-haired young woman turned towards him with a raised eyebrow. "What kind of bet?" she asked. "Yes, she took the bait," thought the blonde-haired young man. "The drinking contest. Whoever loses gives the winner 100,000 jewels." Everyone looked at him as if he was insane. Challenging Kana Alberona to a drinking contest, did this guy lose his mind? "I agree, let's start," she said with a confident smirk on her face. "Sweet, if her luck is anything like Bachan's I am going to win, 100%. Sometime later. What is she? After being completely destroyed in their drinking contest, Naruto was on the bar stool with Wakaba and Mikao. Mikao and Wakaba, right? The blue-haired man looked surprised for a moment before a grin lit up his face. Hey, not too bad. You've only been a member for a day, I'm surprised you know our names." The Uzumaki took out a black book out his pocket and gave it to Mikao. The older mage raised an eyebrow and opened the book. When he opened it he saw a picture and a detailed description about Oze Parla, the guild master of Phantom Lord. His skills, fighting style and possible weaknesses were listed. On the next page was Ichiya Vandalay Kotobuki with the same details as Oze Parla, but Ichiya's included that he is often accompanied by the Trimans. They were composed of Hibiki Lates, Ren Akatsuki and Eve Tierms and their respective stats. I write the names and stats about most known mages so I can be prepared if I have to fight them. I call it the bingo book. He said with a smile. I am actually surprised that information gathering isn't as important here as it was in the elemental nations. Mikao and Wakaba were surprised such a thing exists or that someone so young created it, but shrugged. Are there any dorms here? Asked Naruto curiously. Truth be told, he didn't want to rent an apartment. The girls have a dorm, but us guys don't have that luxury. The last one was smashed up by Gilderts, and since then we haven't bothered building a new one. Wakaba answered. The blonde just sighed. Do you plan on taking a mission? Mikao asked. Nah, maybe tomorrow. Answered the former shinobi. Here is tip if you need some quick money, if you wait until about noon, that's when more missions are posted on the board and you might find something good. Naruto nodded and said his thanks before walking off to the younger members of the guild. What's up guys? Boy, Naruto, how did you take down Evergreen so fast? Asked Lucy Hirtfiller. This guy may be a pervert, but like master he is strong. She thought. Easy, she underestimated me. Did she actually think that her stone eyes were faster than the Sharingan? So Naruto, where are you staying at? Gray asked. The blonde seemed thoughtful for a moment before he got an idea. Don't worry, I have an idea. Fairy Hills. As Urza was walking in her apartment, which is actually 5 rooms connected together, something which raises her rent to an astonishing monthly amount of 500,000. Such rooms are connected together by large inner doors without shutters, have their floors covered in massive carpets, and, in addition to Fairy Hill's standard wooden decorations below the ceilings, have intricate motifs adorning the upper part of the walls housing doors, which are themselves decorated, right below their upper arches, by wooden spirals holding the arches up. Each room is lighted by a chandelier hanging from the ceiling in its center, and most of these rooms serve as storage for Urza's extensive collection of armors and weapons that she is unable to fit in the pocket dimension, provided by her particular choice of magic. Re-equip armors and outfits are lined up near the walls, fit on mannequins sustained by wooden poles with metal bases. And the walls themselves are adorned by a variety of weapons secured to them. A large table with a chair is visible in the middle of one of the rooms. What caught her attention was that on one of the mannequins was not her usual armor. Instead, there was a black cloak with white flames at the edges. Naruto walked out with a white shirt and dark gray pants. Hey Urza. He said casually. Immediately perverted thoughts rushed into her mind and a lit anger. What are you doing here? She asked, barely restrained curiosity and anger in her voice. I didn't have anywhere to go, and until I can find a place I was hoping my favorite guildmate would help me out. Said Naruto in a matter-of-factly voice. What about your girlfriend? Won't she be against it? She asked in slightly jealous tone. Naruto, who didn't get what she meant. Why would she be against it? I am staying with a guildmate. He asked obliviously. She sweet-dripped. For someone who is normally very smart, he sure is oblivious when it comes to these types of situations. She thought. Well, I will go and take a shower, see ya, he said and walked off. Leaving her alone. Well, things have certainly started to change. She thought with a small smile gracing her face. Well, at least I won't be alone in here anymore. Amik. Naruto meeting Laxus. As Naruto walked out of the master's office when he saw Laxus. You probably know who I am, right? Laxus asked with an arrogant tone. Naruto's eyes nearly bulged out of his head. Of course I know who you are. Naruto said in a happy voice. Laxus smirked. Of course he knows who I am. I'm very well known in Fiori. He thought. But he wasn't expecting what the blonde had to say next. You're the Harry Potter. Said the Uzumaki with a smile. Everyone facifaulted at his exclamation. What daffik gave you the idea that I am Harry Potter? The Dreyer exclaimed. Naruto looked confused at that. Well, you have the scar and well, you are a wizard, Harry. You almost fooled me with the dyed hair and contact lenses, but I am not easy to fool. Said the ninja in a proud voice. What's happening here? Asked a curious Evergreen. Naruto turned to her with a smile. Yo, Hermione, said Naruto beaming. The end. Magnolia Town 2 weeks later. Naruto was currently in a restaurant in Magnolia Town with 2 beautiful women by his sides. Now normally he would be in his perverted euphoria in this situation, if not for the dark glares his companions have been giving each other. On his right was Urza Scarlet and on his left was Altier Milkovich. He could have sworn that he saw sparks of lightning between the two. How did he get into this situation? Well, the blonde couldn't understand how. He just told his girlfriend that he was staying with a guildmate and she just went haywire. Right after that she told them that they were going on a date, he of course agreed, but his roommate decided she wanted to come along too. And for some reason she was angry, again he couldn't understand why, but decided to go with the flow. Altier was dressed in a rich royal blue silk charmeuse, the Rimakra gown is striking and romantic. Crystals twinkle along the sweetheart neckline and ruching ripples across the bone bodice, which ends at an empire waist. A gentle twist of fabric at the bust sends cascading movement through the floor-length skirt, which trails behind for a formal finish. fully lined in silk. Urza wore a purple dress, the one from the Tower of Heaven arc. The red-eyed teen was surprised that they would wear such clothes just for a normal date, but shrugged it off. However, what surprised him more was that on the entire trip to the restaurant they were on both wrapped their arms around him. The palace Ristau. "So, Altair-chan, what have you been doing?" asked the Uzumaki, attempting to end the uncomfortable silence. Seriously, they were glaring at each other since they got here. It even started making him feel uneasy. "Well, nothing, Naruto-kun, just a boring council meeting. You know they are still pissed because of the disrespect you showed them," she answered somewhat truthfully. There were more things going on than just the boring council, but she won't tell him that. You know, when you told me that you were roaming with Urza-sen here, you quite surprised me. I don't want for you to trouble her, so I pulled a few strings and I can get you your own apartment," she continued with a smile and a sing-song voice. "I can't have her accidentally telling you about the tower. This had nothing to do with jealousy. Like I should be jealous from some red-haired tomboy," she added as an afterthought. "Not jealous at all. Don't worry, he is in trouble. He is actually very fun company," said Urza, cutting in before the blonde had a chance to answer. "Plus, we are guild mates after all, and it's our duty to help each other," the red-haired mage said with her own sing-song voice. "I won't let you use him for yours and Jel's purpose," the Scarlet thought. "Altair-chan, how has been Seagrain doing?" asked Naruto with a smile betraying his thoughts. "Something's wrong with that guy. From what I was able to uncover, he was transporting slaves somewhere." Flashback. In an abandoned mansion outside of Lupin were heard loud noises, some were of laughter, some were of fear, at least those were the ones Uzumaki Naruto heard while being on the ride in front of the mansion. The mansion itself wasn't anything too special, it was old, abandoned and not in a good shape. The blonde heard rumors that people from nearby villages had been kidnapped. It didn't take him long to pinpoint roughly where they were brought to, but were the kidnappers that idiotic to shout and drink? Well, idiots are idiots after all. His first thought was to try to use stealth, but abandoned that thought, he hadn't had a workout in a while. The Uzumaki kicked the door open, earning shocked looks from the inhabitants, but before any of them could react, he threw a kunai at one of the bandits, successfully embedding the knife into the bandit's skull. "What the fuck? Who the hell are you?" Naruto ignored their shouts and disappeared from their view before reappearing behind one and stabbing him in the spinal cord, killing him. "Boys, kill him now," yelled out their leader in a frightened voice. Their leader was a short fat man with brown eyes and a black hair and beard and a sword on his back, but one didn't need to be a genius to see that the man was not a warrior, he was just a coward holding a blade. The entire bandit group lunged at Naruto from all sides. They had butcher knives, swords, axes and hammers, fully intending to end the ninja's life. But it was not to be, because the blonde flashed trough hand seals. "Ton. Kazakiri, no jutsu wind release. Wind cutter," he said in a cold tone. He blew out blades of wind while spinning in a full circle. The wind blades cut down his attackers. Some lost an arm or a leg, while the more unlucky ones got cut in half, some horizontally, other vertically. In the end there was blood and gore everywhere. It did not look like a battlefield, quite the opposite, it looked like a slaughterhouse. The only surviving bandit was their leader, who looked ready to kill himself out of fear. Naruto quickly put him in a genjutsu and went to free the people. "What's happening here?" yelled out a frightened voice. The Jinchuriki saw another bandit walking out the basement, probably a guard to make sure the hostages don't try to escape. The bandit stuttered in fear at the sight before him. There was blood all over the floor and walls, limbs and other body parts scattered all over the place, and the agonizing screams of the dying. In the middle of all the bloodshed stood blonde man with cold red eyes, who was glaring at him. "Who are you?" He stuttered in fear of the intensity of the glare he was receiving. Before he could blink, the blonde disappeared from view. A moment later he heard something reminiscent of many birds chirping. The bandit saw the black-clad young man with blue lightning in the palm of his hand. "Your end, Rikiri." He called out his technique's name and impaled the kidnapper directly in the heart, killing him instantly. He walked into the basement where the kidnapped people were held. When he saw the people, he was surprised to see the people who were abducted. The crimson-eyed young man was surprised that there were people of all age groups. Why were the bandits kidnapping regular people? "Who are you?" asked an old man. The old man was dirty, extremely frail-looking, and beaten up. No doubt he was one of the first that were abducted, judging by the state he was in. "I am here to get you out of here," answered the blonde in a serious tone. "How do we know you are not one of them? For all we know, you might be trying to just lure us out." Naruto, having enough, released his killing intent, immediately silencing them. A second later the basement was overcome by dead silence. "It doesn't matter if you trust me or not, I am here to bring you back to your families," Naruto said. "But if you prefer to stay here, I will let you stay here until you rot," finished the Jinchuriki in a cold tone, sending shivers down their spines. After hearing Naruto's words, they started one by one to leave. By the time they were upstairs he cast a genjutsu on them to spare them the gruesome sight. After they were out of the mansion the blonde told them to wait for him 200 meters south. But before that he asked them if they had any clue as to why they were kidnapped and they answered only confirmed his suspicions. They were to be made slaves at some unknown place. After they left he released the genjutsu on the bandit leader. The short man was surprised when he woke up, he remembered having a nightmare about some blonde massacring his henchmen. But the first thing he immediately noticed was it was not a nightmare. What woke up him was the fact that he was hanging upside down only by the ankle on some giant tree, but made his blood run cold were the cold red eyes that were glaring daggers at him. Where were the slaves going? Roared Naruto at the black-haired man. His tone filled venom and hatred. I don't know, please let me go. Answered to the short man. Wrong answer. Yelled out the Uzumaki. And let go of the man's ankle letting him fall. But just as he was about to die he suddenly stopped mere inches from the ground and got pulled back up in a second by his interrogator who pulled him up with ninja wire. Where are they being sent off to? Demanded the blonde with even more hatred and rage in his voice. I don't know, he was watching as the Kyuubi container was about to drop him again and yelled, but wait, I have some information. Pleaded the fat man. I am listening. Said Naruto in cold voice, no longer shouting. The bearded man took a moment to take a breath in relief. I wasn't able to see him, completely identify him, but he had blue hair and something like a scar on his face, said the bandit leader truthfully. The Uzumaki nodded and assumed a thinking position. Is that it? The fat man nodded. Okay, can you do me a favor? Asked a red-eyed young man. The bandit leader nodded his head again. Say hi to your friends for me, he said, and before letting go of the ninja wire and letting the former leader fall to his death. After those events he destroyed a couple of slave routes and was even able to take down of the major commanders. He learned the name of leader behind everything concerning the slave routes who was behind it all. Joel Fernandez, known better as Seagrain's twin brother, after he learned the information he was 90% sure that there was no Seagrain. There was just Joel. Flashback end. He is okay I guess. She answered, well Naruto nodded. Why do you ask? The purple-haired woman asked. Well he is a council member and a member of the 10 Wizard Saints, so I just wanted to know. Lied the student of Kakashi. At the mention of Joel's fake persona Urza slightly tensed a bit, which didn't go unnoticed by the Uzumaki or the Malkovich. Urza-san? Asked Altair with a smirk. Yes. Answered the Scarlet. Are you Seagrain's girlfriend? The councilwoman asked. Instead of getting angry or sad as Altair expected, Urza just smirked back. No, but since you brought on the subject. Are you his secret girlfriend? Urza shot back. The purple-haired young woman's eyes slightly narrowed at the comment. What gave you that crazy idea? Altair asked. Urza gained a mock thoughtful look on her face before answering. Well you are together non-stop and he is your superior. That with the high stress of being a council member must be hard and sometimes people need a stress release. The Redeed said in sing-song voice. After Urza made that comment they exploded in bickering. That escalated quickly. Thought Naruto with a sight. Hey no, let's calm down now. We are all friends here, right? Said Naruto in his usual bored tone. Stay out of this, they shouted at the same time, instantly shutting him up and continuing their bickering. After the little incident at the restaurant they both left with a huff, leaving him alone. Fairy Tail. Naruto was currently watching and trying to find something interesting with a high-paced salary. Yo, Naruto. Hearing a familiar voice the Uzumaki turned around and saw the pink-haired dragon slayer. Mama Natsu, don't shout so much. Said Naruto with a sigh. Natsu reminded him a lot of himself when he was younger. Did I really shout like that when I was younger? He mentally berated himself, but his thoughts drifted towards his sadder memories. I can only imagine how pathetic I looked when I was screaming about being Hokage in a village that hated me. Thought the holder of the Kyuubi. Naruto. You are spacing out. Said Natsu. Maybe that's because unlike you he has a brain. Came the voice of Gray behind him. Shut up, stripper snowman. Yelled out Natsu in anger. The fullbuster got a tick mark on his forehead. What did you call me, flame brain, he barked out. However, before they could continue they were immediately shut up, a commanding voice. Both of you shut up, came the voice of Urza in her signature Heart Cruise armor. They instantly went silent and grabbed each other by the shoulder. Gray, you are my bestie and if you test me I will prove it time and time again I got your back up until the end. Sang the pinkhead. With Gray continuing. Natsu, you're my brother from another mother, and with that they continued their song until Urza was turned her back on them. Wanna go on a mission together? Asked the Uzumaki in his normal prosaic tone while reading Icha Icha. Yeah, I already have one, it is to go to Lupin Town, she agreed. Well let's go then. On the road to Lupin Town. As Naruto and Urza were currently walking towards the town that was being terrorized by some kind of insect creature. Why are you and Altair-chan so hostile towards each other?" asked Naruto curiously. At the mention of Altair's name Urza was immediately annoyed. That woman just angered her. She is probably jealous whore and I know she is just trying to lure Naruto in his grasps. "I don't know what you're talking about." She answered adamantly, her voice left no room for argument. "I swear they are like sisters." Altair-chan said the exact same words. Thought Naruto with sight. "Where did you two meet?" asked the Reed out of nowhere. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the question but nevertheless answered. "We met around 6 months ago while I was training," answered the blonde. He honestly couldn't see why they disliked each other but shrugged, it must have been a woman thing. After a few more hours of walking and light chat, the team of two finally arrived in the town of Lupinus. It wasn't large like Magnolia or Crocus. It was a castle. Town hall was located in the center of the town and that was where they needed to go to inform the mayor, the man who requested the job. The mayor was a middle-aged man of high class despite the smaller than average town. He had short brown hair and brown eyes and an angular face. "Hello sir, we're the mages from Fairy Tail here to take out the beast that has been causing you trouble." Urza greeted the mayor respectfully. "Thank you for coming. Our townspeople were attacked by a creature. It was insect-like. All I know is that it's somewhere in the forest," said the mayor. "Wait a minute. Uzumaki Naruto?" the mayor asked, surprised. The Uzumaki nodded with a small smile on his face. "Hey Yusuke. How's Ray-chan doing?" asked Naruto in a happy voice. The older man nodded with his own smile. "Yes, my daughter has been doing very good," said the man, but his smile turned into a full-blown grin. "I think she has a crush on you." The blonde's eyes went wide as dinner plates. But before their conversation could continue, the Reed decided to get to business. "Do you know what its abilities are?" asked Urza. Naruto was just about to ask the same question. Trying to get as much info as possible was a habit he got from his shinobi training. "No, I am sorry, I honestly don't know," answered the man truthfully but with a more hopeful tone. Now that his daughter's savior was the part of the team that was going to stop the monster, he felt more sure in his people's well-being. The duo nodded and left to find the creature. Later that night. It was night already and there was still no sight of the beast. The night itself was peaceful with a lot of stars and soft wind blowing from time to time. "This is starting to get annoying," said Urza with irritation clear in her voice. Naruto, unlike his teammate, was reading his icha with a small perverted smile on his face. Before they knew what happened, a giant spider-like monster came down upon them. They quickly dodged the attack and saw that the beast was a giant spider-like beast. Its color was dark green, its mouth had giant fangs laced with poison. Urza entered Heaven Wheel's armor. Plated armor covers her chest with a large metal flower over it and she wears a large billowing skirt that has metal plating in the upper area. Her stomach and neck are uncovered and she has large metal wings that appear to be made of individual blades, as well as a wing-like headpiece. The creature shoot a cocoon-like matter at Naruto, but he quickly KAWARIMI body replacement technique with a nearby log. The blonde was surprised at how after the log was enveloped in the cocoon it started to disintegrate. "Urza, watch out for the cocoon, it is laced with acidic poison," warned the student of Kakashi. Before she had time to respond, the insect let out a poison breath, which Urza evaded. But to her surprise, the tree that was hit started to disintegrate. "Don't let the breath touch you, it has the same effect as the cocoon," exclaimed the Requip mage. The Uzumaki nodded. It lunged Urza, but she flew in higher into the sky and shot 5 swords at it, successfully hitting it in its back legs, making it screech in agony. However, the assault was not over yet because the blonde just finished a set of hand seals. "Rain. GIAN lightning release. False darkness." After those words left the Kyuubi container's mouth, he emitted lightning in the shape of a spear from his hand, which then pierces 2 of left front the spider-like creature's face. "Dance, my blades," Urza commanded. The swords then began to spin rapidly around Urza and she sent them flying towards her opponent. In a disc formation at first, and upon impact the sword separated and flew in different directions, dealing great damage to the creature. It miraculously survived their assault and with its last strength it roared. Argret roared in pain and started to flood the area with its poison breath. Urza entered flight armor and sprinted to Naruto's location, which was on a tree branch above. This armor had features very few armored parts. It was cheetah printed and the outfit has a large collar around Urza's neck and a tail hanging from the back of her shorts, both made of bushy fur, plus a pair of large cheetah's ears adorning both sides of Urza's head. When wearing this armor, Urza is equipped with a pair of short swords with elaborate handguard similar to a rapier's, shaped like roses' thorns. Dottie the giant insect. Naruto took a moment to examine her new appearance. "Damn, these armors are turning me on damn bad. Naruto, don't think stuff like this." Ton. Totapa expelling a large gust of wind out of his mouth that blew away the poison gas away. Unfortunately for the creature, the gas knocked down a couple of trees that crashed down upon it, effectively trapping it. Urza took advantage of the situation and stabbed it in the skull, quickly killing it. That was easier than expected. Plus our teamwork is really good, said the red-eyed young man with a smile. I agree, it was good, she said with a smile of her own. If she had to be honest with herself, it was way more fun to be doing missions with guildmates instead of solo. Come on, let's get this thing back, collect our pay and head on to the guild. He said in a bored voice. She nodded and followed him. Fairy Tail. While leaving the town with the bounty, the whole town cheered for them, happy that the monster that was terrorizing them was finally gone. Most of the females immediately were about to surround Naruto, wanting dates and such, if not for the darkest glare they received from his female companion. After they entered, the master immediately wanted to speak with them about something very important, so they entered his office. So you're telling us that Natsu wanted to do an S-ranked mission. He then dragged Lucy with him, reviewed Naruto on the current situation. In order to get the mission, he got Happy to steal one off the board for him. Then Gray decided he would go stop them, only to most likely end up join them. Yes, that's it, said Makarov with a nod. Naruto just sighed while Urza looked furious. What was the description of the mission? She asked, worried. Apparently there is a cursed island called Galuna Isle, located not that far away from Harjan Port. The island is said to have been cursed, causing the inhabitants to transform into demons, explained Makarov. Didn't anyone notice Happy stealing the mission? Asked Naruto. Before the old mage could answer, Laxus decided to make his presence known. I don't know about them, but I think I saw some idiots going to their deaths, the young Dreyer said with a smirk. Are you insane? You let them go on an S-rank mission, they aren't even at the strength of an S-rank mage. The brown-eyed woman exclaimed with rage evident in her voice. I am an S-rank mage, not a babysitter. It's their own idiocy that drove them to take the mission. We are heading out, master, she said and immediately stormed out of the guild hall. See ya, old man, said Naruto while waving his arm lazily and followed the retreat. The cursed island lay in the middle of nowhere, battered by the relentless waves of the ocean. Many years of being hit by waves from one end, the one circular-shaped island had been forced into the shape of a crescent moon if one took a bird's-eye view of the island. The Luna Island was completely engulfed in forest, save for the single village where the inhabitants were said to have succumbed to the island's curse, their physiology changing into that of a demon's. At least that was the info they got on the island. Naruto and Urza were currently asking the boat owners if they had seen Fairy Tail Mage, along with a description of them. You say you were looking for Fairy Tail Mages? Mages, a male voice said, getting the duo's attention. He turned around to see a tall man wearing a bandana on his head with a black mustache while wearing a long cream-colored cloak that completely covered his body. Naruto walked over to the man. Yes, we are. They took a dangerous mission and we are backup. Naruto lied while the man, who looked a bit surprised but gave a nod. Well, you're in luck. I was the one who took them over. We're the group you're looking for, a pink-haired boy who had a blue cat and was accompanied by a hot blonde and a guy with black hair who has a stripping problem. He asked. Seriously, why can't they make a good impression at least for a client? Thought the black-clad young man. Well, the female Fairy Tail Mage on the other hand was getting more furious by the minute. Yep, that's them alright, he answered with a sigh. Well, in that case I can take you there if you like. My name is Bobo, he said. But before they entered he narrowed his eyes at Bobo. But before we enter I have to ask something of you, Bobo-san, said Naruto in a serious tone. Bobo's eyes widened but kept his cool. Release your transformation, now, said Naruto with a bit of edge in his voice. Now Bobo was sweating buckets. What? How did he know I am demon in transformation? He begrudgingly nodded and released his transformation. He undid the bandages around his face to reveal a demon. The demon formerly in disguise was revealed to be purple with dark purple spots all over his body. He has 2 horns on his head and a black mustache, which goes from his nose, around his mouth to his chin. He wears a blue cap adorned with skulls, a light green cape, which is wrapped around his chin, and a white t-shirt. He also wears dark pants, which are held up by a pink rope tied around his belly, functioning as a belt, and dark boots. You are going to tell us everything you know about the mission? Demanded Urza in a tone that left no room for argument. Okay, I will tell you everything, he said with a sad sigh. Years ago, me and the other villagers began to forget that we are demons. However, I am the only one who got his memory back. And my father then stabbed me, as he and the other villagers thought that I lost my soul and became a real demon. But I survived, and after that I escaped the island. I published the mission, explained Bobo this time honestly. Why the hell didn't you tell that to our comrades? The young woman demanded. Bobo let out a sigh. Hey lady, calm down, okay? I warned them about the danger and they accepted on their own will, he said. Now red-eyed teen knew that something bad was going to happen. If Urza was angry as a demon before, now she was the devil herself. Bobo, not sensing the danger he was in, started to walk away, but Urza had other plans for him. The moment they started their trip to Galuna, the Redeed forced the formerly disguised demon to paddle, and at a high pace at that, for extra stimulation, she had one of her swords at his family jewels and another poking him in the rear. It was safe to say that Bobo was going as fast as possible. With Lucy. This woman is insane. Lucy was shouting in her mind as she fell onto the beach after being forced of a small cliff. She looked up to see Sherry sitting on top of a giant rock golem that she was controlling using her doll magic. Sherry has blue eyes, pink hair, large breasts, and a curvaceous body. She had her hair tied in pigtails, her choker tied into a ribbon, a purple and pink short spaghetti dress with light pink trimmings, black leggings, and high-heeled sandals. Damn it, I can't win like this. My magic won't help me, she will just take control and use it against me. With her doll magic, damn it. Thought Lucy. You can't escape from me, for I wield the power of love. She shouted as the rock golem jumped down from the cliff and landed on the sand and began to chase Lucy across the beach. She continued to run across the beach but stopped when she stood in front of the ocean. The click went off in her head as she grabbed her keys from her side. The ocean. I can summon Aquarius here, she muttered. She turned around when she heard the loud footsteps of the rock golem with Sherry still on its head. Her opponent was only a few meters away from her, ready to end her life. It looks like the cat will finally catch the mouse, Sherry taunted. I'm going to crush you like a little bug. No love for you. Any last words? It's more of a question. Said Lucy. Go on. Said the doll magic user. Are you that clingy about love after sex? Said the hurt fella with a smirk. I yelled Sherry in rage. She controlled the golem into punching Lucy only for Lucy to narrowly dodge out the way and hit the sand. When Lucy was back on standing, she grabbed Aquarius's key. Open gate of the water bearer Aquarius. Lucy called out the name of her spell. Out of the large blue magic seal the celestial spirit Aquarius formed, catching Sherry off guard as she began to prepare her next attack on the blonde. She had the appearance of a royal blue mermaid. She has a long blue fishtail, large breasts, and dons a revealing bikini top. She has 2 gold armlets and wears a jewel circlet. She is our enemy. We don't like her, so kick her ass, Lucy commanded, but all she got from Aquarius was a TSK. I don't have time for your attitude. Get over there and take her down now. Lucy exclaimed angrily at her spirit's attitude. Just as annoying as ever, I see. It's no wonder you don't have a boyfriend, Aquarius said, further infuriating her summoner. Oh no you don't, Sherry said as 2 pink magic seals formed in front of her hands. Aquarius's eyes began to glow as Sherry had a smirk cross her face. Now she is under my control, she said. I don't think so. Aquarius is still my ace in the hole, Lucy said with a confident smirk. You won't be thinking that when the sea water washes you away, she said as she began to move her hands, making Aquarius perform her signature move. Aquarius gets rid of this clingy, idiotic girl. What did you say? Aquarius said as her body began to move without her control. The water began to gather in her urn before she threw the water against the ocean, creating a huge tidal wave that headed straight towards the beach. Lucy screamed as she got caught in the giant wave that began to sweep her away, while Sherry had a triumphant look on her face. Say goodbye, little. Sherry had to stop mid-sentence when she realized the giant wave was not stopping and Bo headed straight towards her. The wave easily towered over her rock doll, making her go bug-eyed. Oh no, oh, she screamed as the wave now crashed down onto her and the rock doll, sweeping her off it, and now joined Lucy, being stuck in the middle of a whirlpool being spun around like no tomorrow. Aquarius watched from a distance with a grin spread across her face. And I thought the blonde was stupid, she commented. Bye-bye. With this she closed her own gate and returned to the spirit realm. Once the wave finally died down, the 2 girls were laying face down on the beach with the rock doll somehow surviving and still standing, but standing there motionless. After a few seconds they both began to get back up, but was both wobbling and moving around with both their arms outstretched and trying to keep their balance due to being very dizzy. Leave into Aquarius to make a whirlpool, Lucy said as she tried her best not to fall over. It's not over. Exclaimed the pinkhead. They engaged each other in hand-to-hand combat, which looked sluggish but was most likely due to fatigue. However, with a last burst of strength Lucy delivered her finisher. Lucy kick. She yelled and struck Sherry with her leg straight in the chest. With her last bit of power the doll magic user called for Angelica. Angelica is a giant rat, possessing its rodent-like features. Angelica was dressing in a feminine manner, a black corset-style top with pink edges and laced black in a cross-section, a white lace headband and a red ribbon tied across her chest. She also has turquoise fur and a huge tail. Is this really how it's gonna end for me? I defeated my opponent just to be killed by a giant fucking rat. Thought Lucy. However, before Angelica could finish the deed she received a swift chop to the neck, knocking it out. Lucy looked up and saw Naruto and Urza. Both with a stern expression on their faces. Naruto Uzumaki and Urza Scarlet arrived on Galuna Island. The end. Galuna Island. Wake up, sunshine. Gray's eye began to flutter before they slowly began to open and saw that he was staring up at a straw-made roof. He realized he must have been in one of the huts back in the village. Turning around he saw Lucy and Happy, which he was happy that they were alright, but Urza and Naruto were also there. Naruto looked impassive while Urza was downright furious. Having fun, Gray? Asked the blonde with an amused voice. I suppose you already know what's happening here, said the black-haired mage, ignoring Naruto's mock. That's why we are extracting you all now, said Urza in barely restrained anger. No, answered the fullbuster with a tone of finality in his voice. And why the fuck not? She shot back at him. The black-haired young man went silent, contemplating whether to tell them about Lion, however his thought process was cut short. It's personnel, isn't it? Asked a Sharingan user in a serious voice. None of your concern, barked out the ice make magic user with a shrug. Naruto, clearly not liking the answer he got, grabbed Gray and slammed him against the wall. Everyone's eyes widened at his action. I don't like that answer, said the Uzumaki with a bit of edge in his voice. You don't scare me. I thought we could handle the situation. Gray all but yelled, which got him a punch straight in the face, which surprisingly wasn't from Naruto. It was Urza with a pissed off expression on her beautiful face. Cut the crap, Gray. She yelled out, making Gray cringe a bit from her gaze. Are you fucking retarded? Natsu's Kami knows where. If we didn't arrive just in time, Lucy would have been killed by a giant fucking rat. So don't you dare say it isn't our concern. Gray looked around and saw Lucy and Happy were worried, while Naruto was angry, not as pissed as Urza, but he was getting there, so with sigh he decided to explain. Okay, but let me start from the beginning. Flashback beginning. Called out Gray. Gray stayed back, she shouted as a light blue magic seal formed in her hands. Ice make Rose Garden, she ordered while making giant blocks of ice hover around the demon Deliora. Deliora is a massive dark blue humanoid demon. He has a large torso and 2 large arms that end in large scaly hands. In addition, he has 2 large legs that end in feet that resemble the feet from a large bird. He also has large spikes on the back of his feet. His hair is mane-like in shape and it flows down to the nape of his neck. He has a pair of horns that point upwards, starting from a plate on his forehead. He has large pointed teeth, as well as 2 hollow eyes. Deliora roared as a large beam of energy shot out from its mouth that, when shot out, destroyed everything in its path and created a huge explosion. That was the beast's magic. Could shoot large, powerful, lime-colored magic beams from his mouth that, upon contact with anything, cause enormous amounts of flame to erupt. The destruction caused by these beams is tremendous. The civilians all cowered in fear as the creature from their darkest, deepest nightmares destroyed their home. Everyone was panicking. Men, women and children were running away on hope of serving the Snai. However, most weren't lucky to survive. The sheer power of the blasts that the demon was shooting were immense. Damn it, she said between breaths. I didn't have an idea it could possibly this powerful. She turned her head to see Lion, who was unconscious due to her knocking him out earlier when he thought he could use Ice Shell to stop Deliora despite not knowing the consequences. A little away from him was Gray, who was lying face down. Her sighed in relief that her student was alive. Groggily, Gray opened his eyes to see Deliora in the distance, still destroying building, and saw her now kneeling beside him, wrapping in a hug. "It okay, you're safe now," she said before she pushed him to his feet and pointed over to Lion. "Gray, I need you to carry Lion and take him and yourself out of here. I can't fight Deliora while trying to protect you both," she said as Gray began to move towards Lion and check his friend was okay. "Hurry and go," said as she narrowed her eyes and Deliora, while Gray shakily slung Lion arm over his shoulder. What about you? Why can't we all just get out of here?" he asked. "Why are you even here? I thought I was not your student anymore." Stopped dead in her tracks as she listened to Gray's words, and unknown to him, she wore a small smile on her face as she listened to her student pleading with her to come with him and why she was even here. "You know, a friend once told me I should think about my own happiness, but I don't recall ever looking unhappy. Because after all, I had 2 adorable students who are like sons to me," she said as she turned around, letting Gray see her motherly smile. "And they will grow to see one lively day after another. That makes me more than happy." Gray listened to her words and didn't notice the tear that began to fall from his eyes. "I came to reclaim that happiness." But Gray sobbed. "What about your leg?" Looked down at her new leg made of ice, which she had to make when the explosion hit the rose garden technique and destroyed her right leg. "It's nothing, Gray, don't worry," she said, trying to calm her student down, who's sobbing into her chest. And why wouldn't he? He was seeing his surrogate mother without her leg. She quickly used her ice make magic to make a new leg. So she can not only calm Gray but finish the battle. "See, it's all better now," said with a voice of happiness, but it didn't come out well because of the pain she was feeling at the moment. "Don't go. This is all my fault. If you hadn't saved me, he wouldn't have come." Gray yelled with tears streaming down his face. "Why? Why did that demon had to take everything precious away from him? I won't let you near my students. Shouted. This is the end for you, monster. Iced shell. Her body then erupted in a white light before 4 beams of ice shot out from her and hit the magic seals that surrounded Deliora. Then the magic seals began to shrink in size before they all but disappeared while erupting in a bright light that completely surrounded Deliora. Gray shouted, worried about his teacher. He looked at his teacher and saw cracks beginning to form across her body, scaring him. Your body. This spell destroys the body, she said, causing shock and feet to shoot through Gray's small body. It changes your own flesh and body into ice forever. This caused even more tears to stroll down Gray's cheeks. Gray, I have a favor to ask you. Tell Lion that I died. If I know him as well as I do, he will spend all his life trying to find a way to reverse the effects and lift the spell. That would make my reasons for doing this meaningless. I want you and Lion to explore the world. But Deliora ice formed all around the giant demon, trapping the creature in the ice with no way for it to escape. Please doesn't leave, he sobbed. Please don't leave me. I do what you tell me to do. I will do anything, just don't go. Don't worry, Gray, she said, turning her head, showing half her face already turned to ice, and gave Gray one last motherly smile. I will live on. The rest of her body then turned to ice before shattering and joining the ice that had formed around Deliora. Before she was gone, Gray heard her voice call out to him one last time. As ice, I will live forever. Walk forward and towards a better future, my son. Mom. Gray cried out as his teacher and surrogate mother disappeared from the world. Flashback end. Later on, when I told Lion, he blamed me for Er's death, and that was the last time I saw him until this mission. He's gotten stronger and has become adamant about releasing Deliora and proving that he has surpassed her by killing the monster. Lucy and Happy were at the brink of tears, while Naruto looked sympathetic but still angry. Gray, Lucy, do you have any more fight left in you? Asked the Uzumaki. Seeing them both nod, he continued, we'll go to the temple and find Natsu and take down everyone who stands in our way. After Urza, Lucy and Happy the house, leaving only Naruto and Gray, the Uzumaki decided to shed some wisdom on Gray. Can I count on you to take down Lion? Asked the Sharingan user. Before Gray could answer, Naruto adopted a sad look before continuing, you know how hard it could be to go against a former friend. I can handle him for the sake of not only but everyone, answered Gray with conviction in his voice. It seems like you are stronger than I was, Gray. He added with thought. In the temple. Within the giant temple, a man with spiked up white and wore a long white cape with gold trimmings on the side that stopped just above his elbow. He also had on a blue-colored tunic with gold-colored trimming with black pants. He wore silver-colored boots on that had metal shin plates with a purple belt going around his waist. Lion Vastra sat on a throne made of stone as he narrowed his eyes at the two in front of him. One was Toby, a man with lion-like features and wore blue jeans. The other looked like an elderly man that wore a tribal mask with a mane coming from it, who also wore a cape around him that stopped just below the elbow and had on a purple shirt with navy blue pants. This was the elusive Zalti. Pathetic. So you're the only one left, Toby? Lion asked as he narrowed his eyes at the lion-like man in front of him. Those fairy tale mages are quite impressive. The state of affairs has put the revival of Deliora in jeopardy. However, tonight Deliora shall be revived tonight, completely infused with the magic of the moon drip, Zalti said as he grinned. However, if we fail, then Deliora will remain encased in the ice. Also, I hear another fairy tale mage arrived to help the others. As quickly informed as you are, they will not beat me, Lion said as an icy mist began to flow out of his left hand. I am the blade of ice that will surpass my teacher. In that case, perhaps I should join the battle too. It's been a while since I had a good fight. You're an eerie fellow, Lion said before he was caught surprised when what felt like an earthquake began to shake the place room around. Is this an earthquake? Toby said as he tried to keep balanced. The room began to tilt before whole temple began to tilt aside and moved to a 45-degree angle. The three looked around the room before a beam of fire shot out from the ground and made a giant hole in the stone floor. What is this? Lion asked, narrowing his eyes towards the newly made hole. The three looked down the hole and their eyes widened slightly when they saw Natsu Dragneel standing at the bottom. I usually destroy stuff without even realizing it. However, destroying stuff on purpose is a lot tougher than it looks. What is the meaning of this? Lion asked as he glared down at the pink-haired dragon slayer. Well, you see, with the temple at an angle, the moon trip won't be able to enter. Now it won't shine at that monster below. He answered with a smirk. How dare you, Lion said as he began to seethe and clench his fists. Curse you, fairy tale. I'm confused, Toby said as he scratched his head. It appears we have a bit of a problem, Zalti said, grinning. By destroying the support pillars, it has caused the temple to lean at an angle, thus preventing the moon drip from hitting Deliora. Enough of your babbling, Natsu shouted as feet erupted from his feet and thrusted him upwards. He descended right towards Lion and head-butted him in the stomach only for Lion to break into ice, revealing it to be an ice dummy. Ice make eagle, Lion said, appearing behind Natsu, and multiple eagles made of ice shot out of the blue magic seal and towards Natsu. However, Natsu shot fire out of his mouth that pushed him towards the ground and managed to dodge the incoming eagles. Fire dragons roar Carrick no HMKM, he shouted, making a beam of fire shoot out from the red seal appearing in front of his mouth. However, Zalti threw his hand up and caused a hole to form beneath Natsu, causing the pink-haired teen to fall through it. "Do not interfere," Lion said towards Zalti as ice erupted from all around Lion that caused ice to spread and form throughout the room until it looked as if they were made of a room made entirely of ice. Natsu slowly climbed back up and stared towards Lion. "I am Cold Emperor Lion, the only mage capable of defeating Deliora. Letting this fool give me trouble would tarnish my name." "Defeat Deliora?" Natsu said, confused. "I will surpass her by defeating Deliora. This has been my one and only dream." Natsu, hearing enough of Lion's little speech, climbed out of the hole and glared at Lion. "What you're doing is causing a lot of trouble. If I have to beat some sense into you, then I will," Natsu said as he enflamed his hands with fire. Some time later. Natsu was currently fighting Zalti the masked man and he had one thought running through his mind. Why would this guy use female perfume? "Are you gay?" asked the salamander bluntly. The fighting paused for a moment, everything went silent, you could hear a pin drop. "What?" screamed Zalti in outrage, while Altair inwardly scowled. "Not my fault, my boyfriend cancelled our date. I swear if he cancelled our date for the retired bimbo there will be dire consequences." RASENGAN spiraling, sphere. Altair barely had time to react when blue sphere was coming from behind her. She quickly jumped out, dodging the technique which resulted in the Rasengan hitting the wall, which destroyed the said wall. Almost muttered the Uzumaki under his breath. Oh, a newcomer. Another one that will die, yuppie. Of all the member they had sent, it had to be him. Thought the Milkovich. Out of all the people that could have come, it had to be the one who knows when someone is using transformation magic. "Natsu, give me the briefing on this guy," ordered Naruto. "He uses a woman perfume," Natsu answered, making Naruto and Altair swear drop. Seeing this, he got the idea. "Oh, you mean abilities? Well, he uses a ball and he manipulates time." After that, Naruto told Natsu to go to assist Gray, and surprisingly the Dragon Slayer listened and went off. "So you are a tranny, huh?" Seeing Zalti getting angry, he continued, "And your weapon of choice are balls. Do I have to explain how intimidating you are?" "Shut up, girly man." Zalti doesn't care what blonde girly man thinks. In fact, Zalti thinks blonde girly man is just jealous. Altair shot back with a grin. "You fucking asshole. Girly. I will show you who is girly when your guts are on the ground, you piece of shit," Naruto roared, growing a giant tick mark. The Uzumaki lunged at Zalti, trying to punch the faux shaman in the face, but said shaman was able to block and attempted to kick Naruto in the face. However, Naruto blocked and went to knee the voodoo priest in the gut, but Zalti jumped back, avoiding the hit. "Damn, I can't fight him while using the Zalti persona," she thought. Naruto smirked. His skills in hand-to-hand combat was by far superior to his opponent. He noticed from the corner of his eye some kind of shikigami. His eyes widened when he saw it was not one shikigami, it was an avalanche of shikigami. Payton. Mirka no Jutsu fire release. Great Dragon Fire technique, Naruto exhaled a giant flaming dragon head, attempting to take down both the shikigami avalanche as well as Zalti. Natsu and Gray vs Lion Vastia. Ice Gray started the suicide spell. Prepared to give his life for the cause of not letting the demon Deliora having its freedom. Idiot. However, before he could finish his spell, he received a punch to the face courtesy of Natsu. "Why did you stop me?" demanded Gray with a low growl. "I couldn't let my rival and brother die on me, can I?" said Natsu with a smile. "Yes, you can't." Urza, Natsu, everyone, I swear I won't die today," Gray answered with a small smile of his own. "How cute." The couple kissed and made up, haha. Lion roared in laughter. "Ice make. Eagles," came the voice of the Vastia. Multiple ice eagles came out of the magic circle and charged their master's enemies. "Carrick no HMKM fire dragons roar," Natsu shouted and exhaled a stream of fire. A stream of fire melted the ice eagles, allowing Gray the chance to strike at Lion. "Ice make." Lance out of Gray's blue magic circle came out, multiple ants ready to stab Trough the silver-haired mage. "Ice make." Shield, Lion called out, forming an ice shield to protect himself from the lances. Fire Dragon's Claw, Carrick no Kijitsu, the pink-haired teen assaulted the Vastia with a fire-enchanted kick straight in the face. When the attack made contact, Natsu smirked, only to be surprised when the head literally disconnected itself from the body before becoming ice along with the body. "Cool. You fell for the simplest trick. Ice make." Wolf Lion's right arm was surrounded by ice, taking the shape of a wolf's head and slammed straight into Natsu's face, knocking him back. Sensing a presence behind him, he saw Gray using Ice Make sword. The fullbuster attempted to take Lion's head off, but the Vastja blocked with his wolf head gauntlet. To Gray's shock, Lion duplicated the process on his left arm and punched him in the gut, knocking the air out of Gray. Ice Make Hedgehagu, covering his body in icy spikes just in time before Natsu's fist connected. Aghhh, the Dragneel roared in pain, clutching his bleeding arm. Fuck, I can't move my arm now. His eyes widened in when he saw his opponent charging at him with a bloodthirsty grin on his face. "I bastard." Ice Make sword, summoning a sword made out of ice completely ready to chop his head off. Ice Make hammer, a giant hammer made out of ice came crashing down upon Lion, who narrowly rolling out of the way. Fire Dragon sword horn, Karak no Kinkaku, his entire body covered in flames, Natsu deliver a powerful headbutt to the elder student of sending him flying back. It ends now. Ice Make ice cannon, Isukainen, Gray fired a cannonball made out of ice at Lion, hitting him dead on and defeating him. With Lucy and Happy. "That was easier than expected," said Lucy with a sigh. "Aye." Happy chirped, causing Lucy to glare at him. "You didn't even move this entire time." She yelled at him, but Happy ignored her in favor eating his fish. With Naruto. "What kid of a fool uses fucking Shikigami," muttered Naruto under his breath. Looking around, he saw that Zalti has escaped. "Guess I underestimated him, I mean her. Oh fuck, I am gonna call Zalti it. Yay, it is just about right. It's not very polite to insult other people's magic." Crimson-eyed God-chan red eyes widened when he saw a lone Shikigami has survived and was walking directly at him. "Who the hell are you?" the Uzumaki asked suspiciously. "Why, I am a Shikigami, of course." "Hahaha," the Shikigami roared in laughter. "You have 10 seconds before I turn you to ash," the blonde threatened dangerously. "Okay, Naruto-chan, I will tell you who I am. I am the one who will come for you. I am he suddenly was set ablaze and turned to ash. "Sorry, I lost interest in speaking to paper," and the red-eyed young man disappeared with shun body flicker. Some time later at the village. After defeating the freed demon, who turned out to be drained of almost all of his power while being imprisoned in ice shell. When they returned to the village, Urza used the giant's armor, Kaijin no Yoroi, in combination with the evil crushing spear, a long and elaborated polearm sporting a cross just like the one on the armor, to destroy the fake moon. It was revealed to the Fairy Tail members except Naruto and Urza that the inhabitants of the island were never humans. They were demons that forgot that they are demons. After a tear-filled reunion between Bobo and his father, the celebrations began. During the celebrations, Gray was unusually quiet. He was thinking about searching his memories and asking himself one question: was there anything he could have done on that day? His musings were cut short by Naruto, who sat next to him. "Are you thinking about asked Naruto. "Yeah," he answered sadly. "You know, my sensei also died," said Naruto with a hollow chuckle. "At first me and sensei, we didn't go along well. We were actually indifferent towards each other. Strange, right?" Seeing Gray nod, he continued. "But that all changed. He became more than a sensei to me. He became my best and probably only real friend from the village." "What was his name?" asked Gray curiously. "His name was Hada Kakashi. You know, he died for the same reason did. When we were attacked, I got knocked out and had my eyes slashed. My sensei, in a last-ditch effort, used a really powerful technique to get us out there. A technique that cost his life." Naruto's voice became sadder. Like Gray thought. But he didn't stop there. Even when he was dying, he asked a medic to give me his eyes. He then turned to Gray with red eyes. "These eyes were his, and he gave them to me so I can have a better chance of survival. So don't worry, you are alone in your pain," Naruto said with a small smile before leaving Gray alone. As Naruto walked away a good distance, he suddenly stopped and said, "If you wanted me to tell you, there was no need to hide," he said seemingly to no one. "You may have hid it very well from Gray, but I can see that you still feel pain," the voice said, revealing itself to be Urza. "Can't hide anything from you, can I?" he asked with a lazy voice. "Not in this lifetime," she said with a small smile, before doing something he didn't expect. She hugged and whispered into his ear. "You should heed your own advice." And that was all she said before walking away. "Maybe I should." The next day. What if Natsu didn't tell Naruto about the female perfume? Naruto stared down Zalti with a smirk on his face. Altair was expecting any sort of attack from her boyfriend, well, almost any. She could see a gleam in his crimson eyes. "Zalti, I will show you the technique that has defeated hundreds upon hundreds of men." He began making the Milkovich sweat a bit from the pressure. "What technique? He never told me about anything like that," she thought. "Don't worry, it will be quick and painless." I hope I survive this attack," she thought. "It's gonna come in 1 second," were her thoughts. 1. I don't wanna die. And those were her thoughts before Naruto used his S-rank Kinjutsu. Sexy jutsu? Altier-chan, Naruto yelled out. Altier's eyes were wide as dinner plates at the sight before her. In front of her was her completely naked. His words rang in her mind. Hundreds upon hundreds of men. Altier receives power up. The power of self-righteous female fury. How are you still alive? Is this guy gay or something? How could my ultimate jutsu not work against him? He didn't receive an answer. Hey, how are not out yet? You're the first one out of the many and I mean many people I used this jutsu on, and yet you are still here? He asked again, still getting no answer. The magic around Zalti faded to reveal who was under the mask of Zalti. In front of him stood none other than Altier Milkovich. Ye shit hit the fan. Naruto went as white as Orochimaru at the moment he saw his girlfriend's face. She could have made the Shinigami run back to Kami out of fear. Altier-chan, I was just kidding, you know. Still dead silence. No one ever saw you naked. I was just playing ninjas, you know. She disappeared from his view completely, not even the Sharingan could track her. Now she was right in front of him, her fist covered in a red aura. The interesting part was that he could see some faces in the energy coating her arm. He could see Tsunade, Sakura, hell he could even see people who he didn't know, like some red-haired woman. As the fist was going to collide with his face, Naruto idly wondered. Is this the curse of the Sharingan making me see my death so slowly? After the fist hit his face there was only white light. He could see Kakashi and Madara. What was Madara Uchiha doing there? And why were they both reading Icha? My student, you have finally joined us, said Kakashi with an eye smile. A smile strangely shared with Madara. What's going on here? Asked Naruto. Well Naruto, it is time you had a history lesson, said Kakashi with his second eye smile. The truth about my death is not what you think it is, started the Haddock. How so? Asked the Uzumaki. Sigh, will you see that pink-haired medic? She somehow sensed my perversion and smashed my skull in, finished Kakashi. Naruto then turned to Madara and asked him what was he doing here. Well, you see, I didn't actually die in my battle with Hashirama, began Madara. I survived my battle with him, but when I came back home I was dead tired. And I asked my woman to make me a sandwich. He said with dignity in his voice. And that's how I came here, he finished. No wonder he is dead. Thought both Naruto and Kakashi with a sweat drop. 2 years later. The trio consisting of Kakashi, Madara and Naruto were reading Icha, expecting a new arrival today. They all had their money. Jiraiya will be joining them, but now was the moment of truth. Hello, a voice said. Everyone was stunned at what they saw. It was none other than Uchiha Obito. Obito, why the fuck are you here? They all asked, demanded. Obito quivered a little before answering. Well, you see, I brought Rin back from the dead with my Rinnegan. Good idea, right? Wrong. She was pissed that I started to war because she died, and then there was a flash of light. The year without Naruto has not been good for Konohagakure no Sado. Ever since the death of the blonde Uzumaki, everything started to go to hell. The first thing that followed his death was refused financial support from Wave and Spring Country. Why would they stop their support for Konoha? The ambassadors from the respective countries witnessed the celebrations that followed Naruto's death. The guerrilla warfare that Akatsuki were using was also a big negative on Konoha. Destroying trading routes, hell they even destroyed ports, bridges and etc. What's worse is that Konoha's former golden boy Uchiha Sasuke went out of his way to cause misery in Konoha. Apparently he was enraged enough to personally attack Konoha squads who were on missions, whether they be Genin, Chunin, Jonin or Anbu, it didn't matter to him. The only survivor was his former teammate Haruno Sakura, but she wasn't spared out of any feeling he had for her, quite contrary, in fact he left her alive, so she relayed his message to the Hokage. Sakura also didn't come out of the encounter without a scratch. She came back scarred, not only physically but mentally. She had one scar running across her left cheek, on her right shoulder, and one her lower back, and multiple bite marks. All of them were caused by Sasuke himself. But what was probably the worst scar of the all was the one on her psyche. Flashback. Haruno Sakura and her teammates were currently running across the North End Forest in High New Kuni. It was a relatively peaceful night. Her teammates were Yuden, Shimon Hijiri and Hana Inuzuka. Yuden was their combat specialist. He uses mainly fire-style ninjutsu, Shimon was their interrogator, Hana was their tracker, and Sakura was the medic of the team. This was a standard B-rank mission. They had to capture a group of low-ranked Iwa missing nin, interrogate them and kill them afterwards. Standard procedure. When they arrived on missing nin's campsite they found it decimated. There were skinned bodies hanged on the trees, arms and legs were scattered. It looked like slaughterhouse. Is this Konoha trash I see? Said a sarcastic voice. Everyone turned around to see Uchiha Sasuke. He wore a grey high-collared short-sleeved shirt similar in appearance to the blue shirt he commonly wore when he was younger, but with a zipper. He also wears blue wrist warmers with his shuriken armbands hidden underneath. Another noticeable trait is that along with this new outfit, he is letting his hair hang over his forehead. Sasuke-kun? Stuttered Sakura with a shaky voice. The others however quickly got into their respective battle stances. Knowing that this is a dangerous enemy, it didn't take for the Haruno also realized the situation and entered her own stance. Sakura? How are things in that shithole? Asked Sasuke with a grin. Sasuke-kun, we are going to take you. She however couldn't finish her sentence because she was interrupted by her comrade. We are going to kill you for what your brother did to Naruto Nai. Shouted Yuden, even if with a slightly fearful tone. One moment they see Sasuke up on the tree branch, the next moment he vanished from sight. The next thing they heard was a pain-filled gurgle coming from Yuden's location. Turning around they saw that the Uchiha stabbed Yuden in the throat with his Chikudo. Pulling away his bloody Chikudo from the boy's throat before spiting on his corpse with a look of disgust on his face. Don't you dare call him that, said the Sharingan user with poison in his voice. "Tenga Fang, rotating Fang," said a voice behind him. Sasuke didn't even blink, he just used Chidori Nagashi 1000 Birds Current, causing Hana to go stiff, breaking her technique. The Uchiha attempted to stab the Konoha in with his Kusanagi, but Sakura caught the blade with her bare hand, causing her hand to bleed a little. Sasuke channeled lightning chakra into the blade, forcing Sakura to let go. Hana, seeing this as her opportunity, rolled out of the way and tried to attack, but went stiff. Figuring out it was a genjutsu, she yelled out Kai and released it. However, it gave Sasuke enough time for him to use one of his signature jutsus. Fire release. Fire dragon bullet, fire release. Fire dragon bullet, Sasuke shot a high-pressured stream of fire at the Inuzuka, effectively burning her alive. "Oh my god," said the Haruno with a shaky voice. Seeing Hana's charred-up body and hearing her screams, she immediately dashed off to help her. But there was no hope. By the time she got there, the Inuzuka was already dead. Turning around she saw Sasuke, who had a smirk on his face, kicking of Shimon's dead body while petting the deceased Inuzuka's dogs, who were under his control via genjutsu. "Why Sasuke?" She said this without the normal suffix. How could she after seeing what he had done with her own two eyes? "Because of what that village did to my brothers," he said with poison in his voice. "But don't worry, I won't kill you Sakura, because you will deliver my message to Tsunade. But before that I will give these dogs something to play with, considering I killed their master." "Please don't Sasuke," said Sakura, afraid. But the Uchiha didn't care at all. He let the dogs bite her, but didn't let them bite where her vital spots. The worst part was that her torture was not over. "Don't worry brother, I will make them all suffer." Flashback end. A day later, Sakura was found by Konoha Chunins, who were returning from a mission. They found her completely drenched in blood from the dead bodies surrounding it. Didn't take a genius to find out from where the blood came from. After they brought her back to the village, Tsunade gave her immediate medical attention. The good news was that the pinkhead will physically make a full recovery, and with monthly checkups from the godame, there will be no scars on her body. That was the good news. The bad news was that psychically she was broken. The man she admired and loved with all her heart hated her with a burning passion and went out of his way to make her and her friend's life horrible. Then her mind fell back on the person who was always there for her. Whether saving her, backing her up and giving her courage when she was afraid. And probably most importantly, he believed in her. He believed that she could rise out of her fangirl days. He believed that she could strong. That man's name was Uzumaki Naruto. The man who everyone thought that of as dead, but not everyone was the apprentice of the Hokage. However, not everything is perfect. Since the meeting with Sasuke, she spoke the raven-haired boy's name with disgust and hatred, while she almost fanatical about her blonde teammate. Every time someone would badmouth Naruto in any way, whether it be shinobi or civilian, she would pummel them to half-death state. One such case was about 3 months after the incident with the Uchiha. It was Friday night in Konoha. Most of the people were taking some well-earned rest. Most of the civilian class were at restaurants, pubs and brothels. Yamanaka Ino and Haruno Sakura were walking down the busy streets. Most of the people were smiling at them. It wasn't a major shocker. The heir to the Yamanaka clan and the Hokage's apprentice were royalty to the civilian population. Until they reached a cafe where they calmly sat and took their orders. Sakura was disgusted with them. They had the balls to smile at her and act like the kindest, most loving people on the face of the earth. Bullshit. Were her thoughts on the matter? She saw Naruto's medical files from when he was a child. It honestly frightened her. She felt that the people around her were some savages, not the civilized people that she used to be proud to protect. To do such horrible things to a mere defenseless child. Unforgivable. Then she questioned herself, why was Naruto loyal to the village? Before, she would have thought that it was because he was an idiot. But her last conversation with her late sensei proved otherwise. From what he told her, the Uzumaki was far from an idiot. Her sensei even went as far as to say he was genius in the art of ninjutsu and strategy. So what was it? What held him in the village? She wasn't stupid to think it was her, so what was it? She was interrupted from her musings by her blonde friend. "Konoha to Sakura, can you hear me?" asked her best friend. Sakura turned her head to see the Yamanaka with an annoyed expression on her face. "We finally see each other for the first in God knows how long, and you are spacing out on me," she exclaimed. "Sorry no, I was just thinking about stupid things," lied the pink-haired girl. "How was your day in the hospital? Did anything interesting happen?" "Shut it. I'm not here to talk about work," she growled out in a comical way, making Sakura sweat drop. "Okay, please don't go Orochimaru on me," said the Haruno with a smirk. Ino stopped her rant and looked her friend with giant tick mark appearing on her forehead. "Orochimaru, I will give you Orochimaru," however, before she could continue a sudden voice interrupted her. "Excuse me." The platinum blonde turned around to see a young man. The young man had chocolate brown eyes and straight brown which reached below his neck. He was dressed in an expensive-looking clothes. He had a cocky smirk on his face when approaching her. "Haruno-chan," he said, looking directly at Sakura, which made Ino a bit jealous but stayed quiet. "Yes," she answered politely. He looked at her with smirk and took out a coin from his pocket. "If I flip a coin, what are my chances of getting head?" he asked with a grin on his face. "I'm a doctor and I have war," but she was interrupted by the man. "Forget that. Playing doctor is for kids. Let's play gynecologist," he exclaimed with an even bigger grin than before. "Get the fuck out of here before I smash your face in," said the Haruno with growl. "Shut up. If would do it for the Uchiha traitor, why not for me, huh?" said the man with his face twisted in anger. If she would do it for the Uchiha, why not for him? He was a rich noble civilian after all. So why not? "You never said that to the demon, but you say that to me?" said the rich civilian in outrage. Did you call Naruto-kun?" she said with her hair covering her eyes, her entire body trembling with rage, which was all directed at the young man in front of her. "Naruto-kun? What are you?" The demon's war. This time he was interrupted when a chakra-enchanted punch connected with his stomach, sending him flying through the doors of the cafe. "Sakura, what the hell are you doing?" exclaimed the Yamanaka in outrage. "What the fuck do you think? That bastard insulted Naruto-kun," said Sakura with a cold voice. "You can't harm the people of Konoha like that. They are the people we must protect, not hurt," said Ino with a calmer voice than before but still angry at her friend. These were the people they should protect with their life, not hurt them. That's what her daddy taught her and that's what she was gonna do. Seeing that Sakura won't give her a proper answer, she quickly moved to the fallen man and used her Shimsen-jutsu mystical palm technique on the man in order to save his life. The pink-haired young woman decided to leave with only on thought in mind. How to explain the enigma that was Uzumaki Naruto. Earthland, Magnolia Town. It was a beautiful afternoon in Magnolia Town. The sun was shining, the sky was clear, everyone was out on the streets enjoying themselves all around. It was beautiful. The fairy tale mages and ninja were just returning from their S-rank mission on Galuna Island. Gray was, believe it or not, was fully clothed, Urza was stoic as usual, Lucy looked happy to be back, Naruto was reading his Icha but also looked annoyed, and Natsu was laughing his ass off. "Hahaha. I can't believe he called you a girly man." "Hahaha," Natsu roared in laughter. While most of the group ignored him, Naruto's eye twitched dangerously. He regretted the moment he told them about his fight with Zalti without telling them about Ivan, since he told them about Zalti's insults. It looked like the pink-haired dragon slayer had took it upon himself to annoy him with comments like Goldilocks, girly and etc. At first the Uzumaki merely ignored him and waved him off, but is doing it for 6 hours. "You know, it's ironic how you call me girly when your hair color is pink," said the Uzumaki with an annoyed voice. "Pink is the color of the dragons," shot back Natsu, making everyone sweat drop. "More like the color of the retards," responded the Sharingan user with a smirk. "You know, you're not half as clever as you think," grumbled out the dragon slayer. "That still makes me twice as clever as you," said Naruto, still smirking. "You clever? Have you forgotten your hair color?" said the dragon slayer with a smirk. But he didn't notice Lucy glaring bloody daggers at him. Blondes, huh?" she asked with anger in her voice. Realization dawned on Natsu, but before he could make out an apology, he was suddenly hit with a book to the skull. "Sigh, my Lucy chop still needs some work," said Lucy, seeing Natsu rebound from her attack almost instantly. "Maybe you should use my Icha, Lucy-chan," said the red-eyed young man with a small smirk on his face. Lucy turned red like a cherry with anger and embarrassment. "Like I would ever be a sick pervert like you," she said with conviction in her voice. "And what is so perverted about my book?" he asked. This made Lucy even angrier. How dare he act dumb in front of her? For instance, chapter 4, when it turned out that Hitomi was into bondage. Or when Takeshi went to a dominatrix, she yelled out at him. Everyone stopped walking and looked at her with wide eyes. Lucy was a pervert. It took her a few moments to realize what she just said and immediately covered her mouth. "Someone is a closet pervert," said Gray with a sing-song voice. Lucy looked him and noticed that he was only in his boxers. Says the guy who strip every 2 minutes. She shouted at him. It took the fullbuster a moment to realize that he wasn't wearing almost anything. Damn it. Where are all my clothes? He said and immediately started to look for them. But Naruto and Natsu's argument continued with even more vigor than before. If I'm a dumb blonde then you're a pink-haired faggot, said the Uzumaki with a growing anger. Natsu was about to make a comeback before both him and Naruto were hit at the back of their heads. Shut it. You are both girly men, accept it and move on, commanded Urza. Lucy looked at them and saw them complaining about it, which made her sweat drop. You're both just proving her point. The Uzumaki looked at the redeed with one thought in his mind. I pity the poor sap that's going to her boyfriend. Being bossed around non-stop, it's going to make him delusional. He would bet his life in their relationship she would call all the shots, which is nothing like his relationship with Altair. Yep, he wears the pants in their relationship. With Altair. Altair was in Era talking with Seargrain. Which wasn't very interesting, it was actually quite boring considering the guy was her puppet after all, which made their conversations more or less predictable and boring. Seargrain? She asked. Seeing him raise an eyebrow she continued, do you have the feeling of someone being delusional? Magnolia town. Yee. We're almost back home, said Lucy with a big smile on her face. Why are you so happy, Lucy-chan? Asked the shinobi slightly curiously but still reading Jiraiya's art. Why shouldn't I be? Asked the blonde mage with a confused look on her face. Do you feel as if you have forgotten something? He asked with his eyes still on his book. Now everyone looked at him strangely, excluding Urza. When someone does something they are not supposed to do, what happens? The blonde ninja's voice was almost like an adult trying to explain to a child the simplest of things. Well, depends on what they did. I mean, it depends on the situation. You can get hurt, killed. That's when realization hit her, punished, she finished in a depressed voice. I exclaimed Happy, making the celestial mage glare bloody daggers at the talking cat. However, before she could strangle the cat with her bare hands she was interrupted by the Scarlet. I don't want to hear a word from any of you until you get your punishment, she said with a voice that left no room for arguing. What's happened? Questioned Naruto, because ever since they entered Magnolia many of the civilians were giving them worried and slightly scared glances at their direction. I hope it's nothing too bad, answered the redeed with a frown on her face. I second that, said the Uzumaki. When they arrived at the guild everyone was looking with wide eyes when they saw the guild hall had giant metal poles sticking into it that had caused parts of the walls to fall down along with bits of the roof. The HE guild, said Natsu with rage and sadness in his voice. What happened to it? Asked a redeed as she clenched her metal gauntlet. Phantom Lord happened, said Mirahin with a downcast look. What? Lucy asked, not fully understanding what Mira meant. Did you just say phantom? Asked Natsu, making Mira nod. It's frustrating, but they got us good, real good. I'll take you to see everyone else, Mira said as she walked hand in hand with Naruto and led the other down a small passageway that led to the guild hall's basement. When they arrived they saw everyone was in low spirits. They saw Levi sitting with Jet and Droy while Elfman was with Nab and Jeet. Kana meanwhile was at the makeshift bar with Makarov. Welcome back, said Makarov with a smile on his face. A smile that greatly shocked almost everyone. Why would he smile when the guild was attacked by Phantom Lord? The guild master may have hid it well under his facade of cheerfulness, but he wasn't good enough to hide it from the Sharingan. The Uzumaki had to hand it to him, the guild master was a great liar when he needed to be, hell, he could probably outsmart most inexperienced shinobi. But he couldn't hide it from the Uchiha bloodline limit. On the topic of liars his thoughts went to darker places. Namely the Sandaime Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. After seeing Itachi's memories he found about a lot of things that his grandfather and his involvement in his life. First were the delayed rescues from the beatings the citizens of Konoha gave him. To the aged Hokage turning a blind eye to the instructors at the academy who ignored him and even on a few occasions sabotaged his written exams in the academy. He even turned a blind eye on the people that casually broke his law regarding the Kyuubi. But he also found another interesting little fact that the old man forgot to mention. Flashback 2 weeks prior to the Uchiha massacre, Hokage's office. Uchiha Itachi was standing in front of the village leader, the Sandaime Hokage. The Uchiha was in his normal, wore the standard Anbu uniform complete with arm guards, a flak jacket and a porcelain mask which was fashioned to resemble a weasel with a dark triangular marking on top. He was summoned by the Hokage personally after saving the Kyuubi Jinchuriki from a mob of civilians. It all went smooth without any problems. The best part of it was that he was able to save him before the civilians even managed to get close to the small blonde boy. The third was looking at him with a stern expression as if he had done something wrong. But what was it? He had protected the boy, so what was the problem? Weasel, do you know why you are here? Asked the third with a serious voice. Itachi reviewed his memories, searching for the moments where he did wrong, but didn't find one, so he just shook his head in negative. You are here for 2 reasons, but let's start off with the first one. Why did you kill 5 civilians and injured another 10? Demanded Sarutobi with his Hokage voice on. A voice that demanded respect, obedience and it'd expect immediate compliance. They attacked the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and broke several of the laws of Konoha, Hokage-sama said the Anbu with his usual monotone. But what happened later shocked the Uchiha to no end. He saw his leader's stern visage crumble if only for a second. The demanding figure that stood in front of turned into a regretful old man. His eyes showed only regret, sadness and hatred. But from the Uchiha distinguished it wasn't someone else. No, it was himself. He also noticed that Hiruzen took quick, discreet glances at the Hokage monument. After explaining to Itachi about the savings and their way of keeping the Bijuu containers docile and apes the masses. Hokage-sama, you can't be serious. Asked Itachi, still keeping his cool and monotone, but inwardly he was shocked that the Hokage will allow such a thing to occur. Do you fucking think I enjoy this, weasel? Snapped Sarutobi. Just looking at the eyes of the aged Hokage he saw rage. A rage that was built up for years. That pathetic excuse of godfather he has declines to raise the boy. One of his mother's best friends also declines to have any connection to the boy. Out of all the friends his mother had, only Mikoto helped him. Hell, she convinced most of her clan to not blame Naruto-kun for the deaths of their loved ones. Ranted the Hokage. I love the boy as if he was my own grandson, but sadly the fourth made the foolish decision to give a bit more power to the civilian council, which after the Kyuubi attack escalated to them having a lot more power than they should have. Every goddamn time I enter the council chambers I am alone against them all. I have to fight with everything I have to, not have Naruto killed or turned into a human weapon. Then why do you tolerate the people? Asked Itachi in slight shock in his voice. Why wouldn't he? It was the first time he saw his leader lose his cool. He even forgot to address his leader as Hokage-sama. The saddened and downcast expression returned with full force on the Fire Shadow's face. Because the truth is that I just love this village way too much to slaughter the inhabitants. Plus I have one final dream that I wish to accomplish before I pass on, the Fire Shadow began. His grey eyes sprung back to life and blazed with determination like they were during all the major moments in his life. My dream is for the village to accept Naruto. Because it is only a matter of time before it happens, Naruto just has this character that inspires people with hope. Then flashback. Why did the old man lie to him for so many years? For as long as he remembered he had asked the old man about the identity of his parents, were his parents traitors? And what of his godfather, did he just abandon him? However, he was interrupted by the loud yelling of Fairy Tail's dragon slayer. Come on Gramps, we have to get them back for attacking us. Shouted Natsu. Come on Natsu, no one was hurt, we will let it slide this time, said the old man with a sigh. Honestly, couldn't Natsu just calm and accept his decision? He wouldn't even receive any punishment. Wait, a minute punishment. Well, Natsu wouldn't receive punishment, Lucy as new recruit should be disciplined. But have you all forgotten about your little trip to Galuna Island, said the Draer. The dragon slayer immediately stopped talking and turned pale as sheet out of fear. You are all extremely lucky that Urza and Naruto had just returned from their mission, or God knows what would have happened, he said, seriously making them have a downcast look. If I wanted I could ban you from missions for a while, or even worse, I could excommunicate you from the guild. However, I won't, because I hope you all earned your lesson, seeing them naughty grinned. However, you still need to have some form of punishment, he said as he extended his arms into Titan form and bonked Natsu and Gray so hard they dug into the ground. Now yours, he said to Lucy as he looked to do the same to her before his hand got smaller and spanked her. Why my butt? Lucy asked tearily as she began to rub it better, while Mira pouted and had hands on her hips. Nice one, old man, said Naruto with a thumbs up. The guild master was about to say something before he felt a cold aura next him. Don't make me angry, master, she said with a dangerous tone before turning to Naruto. And need stop encouraging him. Did you say something? He asked her while still reading, which made her even angrier. Yes, I said something. And that you should st. Sorry, I'm already in a relationship, he said with his lazy voice still on. Mira's cheeks now red with embarrassment and anger, but Naruto was not done yet. But I can ask Ultier-chan about it if you insist. Gramps, please. We need to kick their asses for what they did to the guild, said Natsu with flames on his fists. God, Natsu, can't you understand what has been told to you? Asked Uzumaki, clearly annoyed. Shut it, Goldilocks. Before Naruto could retort, they both felt a dark aura behind them. Turning around, they saw Urza ready to beat the living hell out them, so he decided to change the subject. Master, can I speak with you privately? Asked the Sharingan user. I don't see why not, answered Makarov. After going to the master's office and telling him about the actions of the younger Dreyer during the mission, several emotions were shown by the guild master. First was shock, quickly followed anger, and finally turning into a neutral one. "What do you think that my son is up to?" asked the old man. "I'm not sure, but I plan on paying him visit because he might be in league with Phantom Lord," said the Jinchuriki with a dead serious voice. The moment Makarov looked into Naruto's cold red eyes, he knew that the Uzumaki would not hesitate in killing his son. Makarov knew what he was about to ask would be selfish of him, but he couldn't just let this man kill his son if he could anything about it. "Naruto, please, I beg of you. I know my son is a fool, but please just don't kill him," said Makarov with a pleading voice. Naruto looked at the old man and saw sadness on the old man's eyes. "Don't worry yourself, old man, I won't kill him," said Naruto. "Promise me," said the Dreyer seriously. Naruto merely raised an eyebrow at the mage's request. "Whether I promise or not, it doesn't matter, for I lack any honor," said Naruto. Now this shocked Makarov. Why would Naruto say that he has no honor? He didn't know what the people in his world consider honorless people, but here they, or at least most of them, were treated like scum. "Would you elaborate?" the guildmaster asked curiously. "What I mean is that I would prefer to stab my enemies in the back rather than face them," said Naruto with an impassive expression on his face. "But out of respect for you, I won't kill him yet," said the Jinchuriki. Makarov's face immediately turned to one of relief and even slight happiness, and thanked him. "So when are you leaving?" asked the old mage. "Tomorrow morning," the young man with his lazy voice back on. He mentally groaned from what his spy told him. It will be a long way to Ivan's current whereabouts. Amik. As Naruto was watching TV, he couldn't help but mentally groan. Why? Because Urza had found his Icha in his room and tore it to tiny, and he does mean pieces. And now here he is lying on the couch bored to death while waiting Urza to return from with the groceries. However, what Naruto didn't notice was that a figure sneaked into the room and was crouched behind his couch with a napkin in hand. "It's Timiyo, you meet my BST friend Enardu Taku and chloroform," the figure whispered and put the Uzumaki to sleep. 6 hours later. When Naruto woke up, he found himself in an old abandoned construction site. He looked around for a window or anything but found none. The only thing he found was a lamp which illuminated the place. But other than that, nothing. But the worst was that he was chained and there were multiple seals that were scattered around his body that prevented him from using chakra. He had some vague memories about fucking some woman, but it was very vague. But the strangest thing was that he was only in his orange boxers and that there was the smell of sex in the air. But how could this have happened? Him cheating on his Altier-chan. And with a partner so bad that it made him fall asleep. And the said partner was into a chain fetish. "Hello there, Naruto Koi," said an aroused voice coming from the now open door. He saw Hyuga Hinata in front of him in only her bra and panties, the latter of which did nothing to hide her big breasts. "Hinata?" asked Naruto, shocked to see Hinata of all people here. Why the fuck was the shyest girl in the world sitting in front of him in only her bra and panties? Not that the sight was not good, it was the fact that Altier-chan was going to fucking kill him for this. "Yes, Naruto Koi, it is me," she said with a grin on her beautiful face. "What's going on here?" he asked, shock still evident on his face. "Well, we are showing our love for each other, of course," she replied, her voice becoming slightly crazy at the end. "And how are we doing that again?" asked the Uzumaki. "By committing suicide, of course," she replied. Naruto's eyes turned as wide as dinner plates by her answer. Was she going trot with this? Was she really going to kill him and herself? Hinata th, but before he could say anything she slapped him across the face and her wide eyes burned with fury. "I am not just Hinata to you. I'm your Hinata-chan, right?" she yelled with an insane voice, pulling out a kitchen knife from somewhere. Yes, of course, Hinata-chan, just please put the kitchen knife away," he said in fear. Why wouldn't her? A crazy stalker was threatening him with a kitchen knife while he couldn't defend himself. "Hinata-chan, please think of all your friend Kiba," said Naruto, trying to convince her to let him go, but unfortunately for him, Hinata grinned again. "Don't worry, Naruto Koi, Kiba is dead," she said with a grin that would have put Orochimaru to shame. "What? Why did you kill him?" he demanded. "Well, you see, he was getting suspicious of me, so I had to get rid of him," answered Hinata. While thinking about the poor boy, he never expected the poor, hurt, shy and innocent Hinata to cut him in half with a chainsaw. But Kiba wasn't Hinata's only victim, there were many more. Right after killing Kiba, she found Sasuke and shoved his own sword down his throat for harming her Naruto-kun. Her next target was Obito, who didn't last long against her. She simply took his eye, humiliated him and killed him. Simple, right? She even released a song about it. "You don't wanna fuck with Hinata cause why? Cause Hinata will fucking kill you, ah ha ha. I said you don't wanna fuck with Hinata, why not? Cause Hinata will fucking kill you. Then why are you going to kill me? Don't you want us to spend the rest of our lives together?" said the Uzumaki, trying to play on her obsession. "Fukikuku, Naruto Koi, our lives are not enough even with your Uzumaki blood," she laughed. By the way, when we go to the afterlife we are going to meet your parents, said Hinata with a dreamy look on her face. Now this got Naruto's attention. The crazy woman knew who his parents were. He could at least get some info put of her. Who are my parents, Hinata-chan? Asked Naruto as gently as he could. Namek is Minato and Uzumaki Kushina, of course, answered Hinata as if it was the simplest thing in the world. We can even have an orgy with them. She said, missing Naruto's shocked look. But after that I will have to kill them too. I wouldn't want them to come in between us, she finished. But enough of that, time to go to the afterlife, Naruto-kun, she said, picking up the knife and went to slit his throat, but before she could he told her to stop. Hinata-chan, how about you do it first and I will follow, huh? He asked with a nervous smile. She looked thoughtful for a moment. She didn't want to see the life leave her love's eyes, but she didn't want him to pussy out, so she decided to make him promise her. Promise me on your nindo that you will kill yourself after me. Seeing him nod, she took a couple of pills and a glass of water and drank them. 2 minutes later she fell limp and dead on the floor. Good thing I stopped having a nindo, said Naruto in relief. 2 days later. After being found by the Rune Knights found him and returned him to Magnolia, he was resting. Who wouldn't want a good night's rest after everything that happened? As he was walking trot the streets of Magnolia, he was wondering why everyone was staring at him. The men with awe and respect while the women with blushes and lust. He didn't understand but guessed it was because of his awesomeness. As he entered the guild, everyone started staring at him with the same looks the others gave him. It seriously started to unnerve him. First of all, both Bisco and Levi winked at him. The moments Lucy saw him, she turned away with a blush on her face. What was happening? And where were the male guild members? He decided to ask Mira because she seemed the most normal of the all. Hey there, Mira-chan, he said with a charming smile on his face. She smiled seductively at him. Why hey there, Naruto-kun, said the Strauss with sultry voice. Naruto raised an eyebrow at her behavior. His musings were cut short when he was roughly turned around to see Urza Scarlet. Her hand slid around his neck, her body pressed itself against his, and she kissed him passionately. For the first moment Naruto was shocked, but when realization hit him, he started kissing her back. But their kiss was cut short by the silver-haired beauty who pushed the reed off him. It's not polite to interrupt people, Mira, said the Scarlet with a frown. Tell me later, Urza, said Mira while walking away from her friend. Naruto turned around and saw Altair coming trot to the door. All females in the guild hall surrounded him and started marching towards him with seductive smiles on their faces. In the end, the Uzumaki gave up on trying to understand what's going and instead smirked. My 15-year-old self would have run away like a little faggot. He thought while closing his book and his smile turning into a grin. But the new me likes what sees. But what Naruto wasn't able to see was the newest issue of Sorcerer's magazine, with him being on the cover with the text mysterious fan was able to find sex tape with an S-class mage. In the seal. Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina were staring wide-eyed at what is going on outside of the seal. Kushi-chan, when I sealed us here I never imagined that we were going to see our son doing this, mumbled Minato. I know, I wish I was out there to show him that Ka-san is the best, mumbled Kushina. Minato's head turned to his wife with a shock-ridden face. Kushina, you can't mean that you would fuck our son, yelled out the blonde man. Fuck off. She shouted and punched him in the face, which sent him flying into the Kyuubi's cell. When Minato hit the floor in the Kyuubi's cage, his eyes widened in fear when a presence of pure evil was behind him. He barely had time to turn his head to look at the beast when he saw its evil grin. Prepare your anus, mortal. The end. I hope you all enjoyed the chapter. Some of you might be disappointed that there was no Sasuke and Sakura bashing, but the truth is that they are not such bad characters. Aren't you guys sick of Sasuke's? HN, the dobe deserved to die because he was weak compared to me. HN, give me power so I can kill Itachi, destroy Konoha so it can far more fun when Naruto comes back and kills me. Choose your favorite, everyone. Or the classical Sakura lines such as, blah, I don't give a damn if Naruto Baka died. He failed to bring back Sasuke-kun. And of course there is the good innocent female character Ino Tenten. But wasn't he your teammate? And then of course there is the, all I really want is Sasuke-kun, blah, blah, demon, blah, blah, I scream a lot, blah, blah. And then Hinata, who somehow got a spine and new attitude in like 2 seconds flat and decides to intervene. Shut up, you banshee, said Hinata with her newly acquired spine. And then the Hinata beats the living shit out of Sakura in 2 seconds, problems arise, and you know the rest. I'm not saying that I hate bashing because sometimes it could be really funny. But I hate it when the entire story is centered around the bashing. The truth is that I prefer Sasuke and Sakura every day over Hinata or Minato. Hinata only has like 3 major moments in canon. Was her fight with Neji in Chunin exams, and she got her ass handed to her by Neji. Now don't get me wrong, it was admirable that she showed guts, but come on, she only grew a spine because of Naruto. Her second major canon moment was during the invasion of Pain arc, where she attempted to save him from Pain. Now again it was admirable that she tried to save him, but her only major moments are where she gets herself almost killed so she can be the trigger to Naruto's rage. When she slaps Naruto for grieving for Niji's death. And of course in every fight scene which includes Hinata play Kill You by Eminem. Minato is rant for another time. Have you read the Naruto chapter 627? The chapter was damn near retarded. First Sasuke goes from wanting to slaughter everything Konoha related to saving the village in a 1 second. Come on, Naruto didn't even use his Jesus no jutsu on him. Second, Karen just lost all likability for me. Why? First off, she somehow escapes prison, sneaks up on all S-rank ninjas, and probably the most retarded thing since the orange jumpsuit. She still loves Sasuke. Seriously, she got stabbed thought the chest by her comrade and love interest who said something along the lines of, "When you got captured you were no longer useful blah 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 revenge." And if my memory serves me correctly, she gave up on him when she sensed Naruto's chakra and had her own stupid little monologue. People, I'm starting to think that Sasuke's Chidori is his strongest ability, but not the piercing power. No. It's making whoever gets hit by it fall in love with Sasuke. First Naruto, now Karen, well at least when the infinite Tsukiyomi fails they have a backup plan. Every time Sasuke hits someone with his Chidori start. I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. And my final gripe with the chapter was the text at the very end of the chapter. The biggest of big fish about to flex their might. And the former Hokages stand on their respective stone heads. I can see this if it was only Hashirama and maybe Tobirama, but Hiruzen and Minato. Hiruzen is weaker, the Orochimaru, and Minato is not stronger than Naruto unless they make it, so he was hiding his true power for the sole purpose of being epic in the final battle. What do you think about the chapter? Because honestly I don't see anyone liking, but if you liked it please tell me why. See ya. Jutsu explanation. Eitenga, Fang rotating Fang, the user and their Ninken partner, roll at a ferocious speed in a buzzsaw-like shape and deliver many powerful beast-like attacks when contact is made with the target. Chidori Nagashi 1000 Birds Current. This is an ninjutsu developed by Sasuke Uchiha during his training with Orochimaru. By releasing the Chidori in every direction, an electrical discharge flows from the user's entire body, allowing him to affect multiple enemies. When using this attack on a great number of enemies at once, it can effectively double as an instant defense. The body of the person touched by the Chidori will misinterpret the lightning nature as electrical signals from the nerves, making its muscles contract. This causes the body to involuntarily go stiff while at the same time receives damage. This attack can also be channeled through the ground to increase the range of the attack. Fire release. Fire Dragon Bullet, fire release. Fire Dragon Bullet, the user exhales a flame breath from their mouth. This technique is used in conjunction with Earth Release. Earth Dragon Bullet to ignite the projectiles fired by the latter technique, making it more devastating. Shimsenjutsu Mystical Palm Technique. This medical ninjutsu allows the user to speed up the body's natural healing process by sending chakra from their hands into a wound or afflicted body part. This allows the user to heal a patient without the need for medical equipment or surgery, making it very useful on the battlefield. It can be used to treat both external and internal injuries. It is vital to match the amount of chakra used to the severity of the affliction or injury. This requires a great amount of chakra control. Because of this, only a few highly skilled medical nin are able to use this technique. Kabuto Yakushi demonstrated the ability to use it a short distance away from the target instead of through direct contact. By sending an excess amount of chakra into the patient's body, the user can overload the patient's normal circulation, trapping them in a comatose state. Although this is usually undesirable, Kabuto once effectively used this side effect to get Kiba and Yazuka out of his way. As Naruto walked away from the Makarov's office, he had a thoughtful frown on his face. Ivan used Shikigami for his abilities. Naruto mentally snorted in annoyance. What kind of idiot uses paper for his main skill set? Conan was currently in the highest building in AIM waiting for Pain to finish his conversation with Madara. When suddenly her eyes narrowed dangerously at someone. Naruto decided to ambush Ivan, use fire jutsu when the idiot unleashed his Shikigami, and finally beat the living hell out of the bastard, so he knows not to fuck with his betters. The only thing he was not happy about was that he couldn't kill him. But we can't get everything we want. Naruto. Turning around, the Uzumaki saw Natsu with his fist of flame coming directly at him, using a quick Kawarimi no Jutsu with a nearby chair, would he avoided the Dragon Slayer's attack. Natsu, seeing the chair he broke, turned around only to see Naruto taking his book out of his pouch. Now that angered him. The bastard was reading a book while they were fighting. He was just about to voice his displeasure when he heard his rival sneer at him. Look at that idiot challenging an S-rank mage to a fight. I think we should already reserve a place in the cemetery, said the fullbuster. The pink-haired teen completely forgot about Naruto, turned to face his rival with an angry look on his face. "What did you say, Popsicle?" he demanded. "Are you deaf and stupid?" mocked the ice make user. "I will beat the living shit out of you." Natsu was about to continue, but he felt a dark rage coming from behind him. Everyone saw Urza with her hair covering her eyes, but it wasn't hard to guess her emotions at the moment if the dark aura around her was anything to go by. "What were you saying, Natsu?" she said with a menacing voice. Honestly, couldn't the two idiots stop fighting for one whole day? Was it too much to ask for? "Nothing, Urza. Me and Gray were just talking about our super friendship and how much we love and respect you," said the Dragon Slayer with slightly shaky voice. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the mage. He hadn't heard such a bad lie since his sensei. Now if only Natsu somehow used infamous the road of life, it would have been perfect. "Don't you think we should band up in someone's place tonight?" asked Lucy. Truth be told, she was a bit fearful of Phantom Lord. If they could come and trash the guild in one night, what would stop them from attacking the guild members? "Lucy, I want a grilled chicken tonight," said Natsu with a grin. "I?" exclaimed Happy with his own grin. "But I want you buy me some fish, Luigi," added Happy, his grin growing even wider. "Free food." Now that was truly deserving of an eye. "No. You are not going to raid my apartment again," shouted the celestial mage in defiance. "Why do we have to go in Lucy's? We can go to mine and Urza's. It is way bigger after all," Naruto said. "Naruto does have a point. You can all come," but she trailed off. "But if you make a mess, the consequences will be dire." The Scarlet finished dangerously, making everyone go as pale as a sheet. Naruto started to discreetly walk out of the guild hall, being sure that no one would notice him. However, luck wasn't on his side because a pair of chocolate brown eyes saw him. "Where are you going?" Naruto Urza demanded. She knew he was up to something the moment he came out of the master's office. "But what?" "Damn it. I'm going around town. Seeing the sights, you know," answered the black-clothed young man with his nonchalant voice. "Then you wouldn't mind if I tag along, would you?" asked the Scarlet with her commanding voice. A tone that left absolutely no room for argument. "Fuck. Of course I wouldn't mind," replied Naruto with a fake smile. "Great. And here I hope to not be interrogated today." Urza merely nodded and went next to him as they started leaving the guild hall. But before they could go, she threw the keys to her apartment to Lucy, who barely caught them in time. She then used the most terrifying voice she could muster and looked at Natsu and Gray. "If there is anything, and I mean anything, wrong with my home when we come back, there will be hell to pay," said the Redeed with a glare so intense that literally made Natsu and Gray white as a sheet. "Of course, Urza. There won't be anything wrong with your beautiful home, I promise," said Gray with panic clear on his voice and face. That was probably the scariest glare she had given them yet. "I," said Natsu. Lucy jumped back in surprise. "Natsu is acting like Happy again." Leaving her threat hanging, Urza along with Naruto left the Fairy Tail building and started walking down the street. "So I was thinking of visiting first the Cardia Cathedral. The Magnolia cake shop," said the Redeed with a voice that left no room for argument. But he started but was unable to finish. "The Magnolia cake shop," she repeated. Making Naruto sweat drop at her behavior. "The Magnolia cake shop, it is, well, fuck you. Even Sakura wasn't this demanding, and that's saying a lot." "What's your favorite color?" asked Urza, bringing her companion the attention of her companion back to her. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the sudden question. It was quite random, but he guessed she was just trying to start off a conversation. "Well, it might sound strange, but it's orange," replied the black-wearing young man with a slight smile that turned into a frown a moment later. On one hand, he did genuinely like the color a lot, but on the other, it reminded him of the leaf, which wasn't a good topic for him, but he quickly composed himself and smiled. "Well, I honestly didn't expect orange. My money was on black or some of the more darker colors," replied the armor-wearing mage in more than slight surprise. "Well, it's a good thing you don't let your love for the color influence your choice of clothing." "Why, yeah, I know, right," he replied a little nervously while scratching the back of his head and smiling sheepishly. Memories of his orange jumpsuits were coming back to his mind, and of course the leaf, but he controlled himself and didn't let any of his emotions slip. But what caught his curiosity was his second jumpsuit, which he got with Jiraiya. Before, he was ecstatic when Jiraiya gave him money to buy it, even if it wasn't very stylish. Heck, it wasn't good looking at all, but the Toad-san bought it anyway. There could be a couple of possibilities why. The first one was that Jiraiya disliked him, which he doubted. The pervert didn't hate him, that's for sure. The second possibilities was similar to a parent being guilty for neglecting his child. That could probably work since he didn't learn much during his trip. Memories of the training trip flooded his mind. He may have not learned during the trip, but those 2.5 years were some of his most happiest. 15 minutes later. After entering the Magnolia cake shop, Urza and Naruto's were no longer talking, it was more like an interrogation on Swordsman's part, and the ninja was defiantly not having trouble dodging her questions or straight up lying to her. Luck, however, was on his side as Marahan Strauss entered the shop with an amused look. He immediately noticed and hoped that she won't team up with her friend against him. Not that it was so hard to lie to them or anything. Quite the contrary, actually it was easier than expected, but it gets pretty annoying really fast. I never thought you were this desperate for a date, Urza said Mira with a smirk. Her words had the desired effect on Urza considering her blush. This isn't a date. We're just two friends eating together, said the Scarlet with her face being the same as her hair. Mira's smirk just grew bigger. Finally she could tease her friend again. Sure it isn't. It looks like the beginning of a porno, laughed the Strauss. Naruto turned his head with a smirk on his face. You know, in chapter 6 of Icha Violence, there is a very romantic scene in a cake shop between Takeshi, Yuzume and Hitomi, said Naruto with his smile turning into a perverted smirk. A smirk so perverted it would surely make Jiraiya proud. Are you trying to seduce me, Naruto-kun? Asked the ivory-haired young woman. Maybe I am, he started. Failing to noticing that Urza's eyes started to twitch violently. Boy, what I wouldn't give two fuck. The Uzumaki yelled in pain. Like someone smashed his foot with a hammer. Turning back to Urza, he gave her surprised expression. Urza, why did you st holy mother of Icha? You are exactly like a couple, laughed Mira. Urza blushed while Naruto was trying to move his foot. The said foot felt awe. Are you insane? I doubt I will survive past the honeymoon. He then stopped and assumed a thinking pose, then he smirked, but I think it would be worth it, thanks to the honeymoon. Who knew that you were such a perv, Naruto-kun, laughed Mira. The blonde merely raised an eyebrow. So the fact that I read smut on broad daylight didn't give you a hint? Maybe it did, maybe it didn't, who knows? Answered the ivory-haired young woman. I swear it's like both of you are perverts, said Urza with a sigh. Are we offending you, Miss Sexy Armor X 784? Said Naruto. Mira burst out laughing, while Urza blushed both in embarrassment and anger. I will have you know that my armors are made by the best blacksmith in all of Fiori, defended Urza. What she said was true, the blacksmith really was one of the best in Fiori. He may have been slightly perverted, but still extremely good at making her gear. And I'm sure his favorite part is taking your measurements and watching you test them out. This time it wasn't Naruto, it was surprisingly Mira. Immediately after hearing it, Urza got a tick mark on her forehead. You're just jealous that I was always stronger than you. Yay, whatever feeds your ego, Urza said the Strauss with a mocking tone. Seeing that they stopped paying attention to him, Naruto took his chance and quickly used Shunshin no Jutsu body flicker technique and reappeared in the alley next to the cake shop. Carefully looking around for anyone spying on him. After seeing that no one was there, he did a cross-shaped hand seal and said Kage Bunshin no Jutsu shadow clone technique. Immediately in a puff of smoke an exact copy of him appeared. Yo, what you need me to do, boss? Asked the doppelganger with a lazy voice. The real Naruto just looked at his clone with annoyance written all over his face. Oh, please, you're my clone, I know that you know what to do, said Naruto, clearly annoyed at his clone's dumb question. The clone for his part smiled sheepishly. Yeah, I know, boss, I was just testing you to see if you haven't got dumber, said the clone. The original grit his teeth in anger but held it back. You know, if this was any other situation I would have dispelled you by now, but Sai, I need you, so just go and do your job, said the original Naruto, who looked even more annoyed. And a guy have fun during his short life, grumbled the clone before doing a Henge no Jutsu transformation technique, turning into a middle-aged man with an average build and brown eyes and short brown hair. It was as Naruto dubbed it, the most generic man in history. After the most generic man in history walked out of the alley and blended into the crowd, the blonde started walking back into the cake shop while noting that both Marahan and Urza have apparently stopped arguing and have started eating, or at least Urza, who was eating her favorite strawberry cheesecake while Marahan was drinking a cup of tea. Naruto could sense a bit of silent cold rage coming from the redeed, but surprisingly nothing from the silver-haired young woman. She seemed completely calm, indifferent and even a bit emotionless. He briefly narrowed his crimson eyes at her. The blonde was expecting at least a reaction out of her. Rage? Hell no. But he did expect something out of the famed demon of Fairy Tail. Maybe I shouldn't have expected something considering that she lost her spine in some freakish accident with her sister. Now sitting next to them with a small, almost mocking smirk on his face, he ordered chocolate cake and a cup of tea. Who the fuck am I kidding? Marahan suspecting something. She's like the non-stuttering version of Hinata. The good thing is that she doesn't stalk me or faint. It would be really pathetic if a barmaid faints in front one of her common customers. So where were you? Being brought out of his musing, he saw that Urza was looking at him, a stern expression. Not that he is surprised by her question. Hell no. He knew exactly what she was trying to do. But you are 100 years too early to try to spy on the great Uzumaki Naruto. Now where does that sound familiar? Holy shit. I'm turning into Iro Senin. Well, if I'm turning into Iro Senin, I better find some better dancing style, maybe break. Naruto, said Urza, raising her voice a bit. Yay, what? Said the black-wearing young man. Where did you? Well, me and Mira were conversing. Asked Aridid with her eyes focused on him. Even Mira was now giving him her full attention. I was out in front of the shop, of course, lied the blonde with a smile. At this moment he was glad he saw Itachi's memories and fully learned Kakashi's teachings about deception. If she had asked that question say 3 years ago, he would have stuttered and said something idiotic like going to the bathroom. And why did you leave the shop? The Scarlet inquired. Clearly not liking the vague answer she was given by the shinobi. Well, you and Mira-chan here were having a heated argument and I didn't want to get hurt in the end, replied the ninja, still with a smile on his face. This time both mages could see the logic in the blonde's thoughts. It was a well-known fact that their arguments tended to go a bit heated. But Urza wouldn't give up that easily, she needed to push a bit more. There was always the chance that he was lying. And you expect me to believe that the great crimson-eyed god is that afraid? Two women arguing? Asked a Requip user, trying to play on his pride. Seeing what she was trying to do, Naruto inwardly smirked. Even the gods have something to fear. Urza-chan, did she really think that she could play him as if he was a child? Well, let's hope no one leaks those fears to Sorcerer magazine, joked Mirahin. Putting air quotation marks on demonic god, he even described me as some form of twisted demon who has hellhounds surrounding him. Ahahaha, well, your eyes aren't exactly normal looking, Naruto-kun laughed the Strauss. Naruto's expression immediately turned into a mock sad one. You wound my fragile heart, Mira-chan. Oh, do I? Asked the ivory-haired young woman with a mock sad expression of her own. Yes, for even hinting that someone as dashing as me could be demonic, it makes me lose my faith in humanity, said the blonde with a smirk. I may be slightly narcissistic, but calling me outright demonic. That's like beating a little kid for oh wait, that did happen. Well, self-confidence is a good thing, Naruto-kun, Mirahin said with light laugh. And I have it in spades, said the ninja with a smirk. Receiving the memories of his clone, he was barely able to hold back a scowl. How dare she? He will need to discipline his informant to not pull such a stunt again. You know, after the whole Galuna Island I need to a break, Naruto said with tired sign. Of course he wasn't actually tired. Far from it, actually he was ready for any kind of battle, but his spy had changed their meeting place. And where are we going? Urza asked. Naruto had to give her credit that she didn't beat around the bush. Urza knew that he knew that she will come along with him, so it didn't matter if she made subtle or direct. The Magnolia public bath. Is there a better place? Naruto inquired. No, it will do fine, she answered. I hope you won't mind me tagging along. I wouldn't want Urza to give in to her lustful urges, Mira said with a calm voice, calmly ignoring her fuming friend. I don't see why not. Naruto said nonchalantly while inwardly being not too happy that they decided to come, but in the end their presence only has a minor chance of being a problem if she doesn't try anything like changing their meeting place again. Hell, he might even sneak a peek at his guild mates. One thing he didn't know was that Urza was analyzing his behavior and she found something very unique about Naruto. Every time she looked at him he seemed either lazy, playful or any other emotion. His eyes were always analyzing everything around. He may have hit it well, but she could see that his gaze was always calculating. No one she knew was like that. That combined with his habit of sending his enemies in commas didn't sit well with her. After walking for a couple of minutes they arrived at the hot springs. The reason why it took them so little time to get there was that the hot springs were 2 streets away from the cake shop. See you later, said the Uzumaki as he was going to the male dressing room. See you, Naruto-kun, and remember no peeking. Mira exclaimed. The blonde merely waved her off. A couple of minutes later the Uzumaki came out with only a towel wrapped around his waist. He had a lean athletic build but wasn't overly buff like the Raikage of Kumo. When he went in the room he saw that it was empty. The room itself was exactly what one would expect. It was in a traditional style with a small jacuzzi in the middle. There was a woman in the said jacuzzi. She had long wet fiery red hair, pale skin, red eyes with visible bags beneath them. She possesses an extremely voluptuous body, with very large breasts, with the right breast bearing a tattoo matched by similarly large hips, endowing her with a virtually perfect Hercules figure. Her eyes were wide open, something which, together with her perpetually raised eyebrows and her semi-open mouth, gives her a somewhat deranged expression. Claire, why did you think that it was a good idea to meet here instead of the motel? Naruto asked with a cool voice. She didn't answer immediately, instead she waited a minute before answering. Come Naruto-kun and I will tell you. The blonde sighed, took off his towel and walked into the jacuzzi. Now that he was right in front of her his eyes noticed a small drops of water on her bare skin and watched as it ran down her face reaching her chin before dripping off. Due to the size of her bust the drops never reached the pool, but instead they fell on her breasts. Seeing him stare at her, Flair's smile grew a bit like what you see blondie-kun. Yes I do, but I need you to tea. He was interrupted when started crawling slowly towards him in a very seductive manner. Now in front of him, her large breasts pressing against his chest, slowly wrapping her arms around his neck and moving her face so that she can be only a centimeter in front of him. Their lips almost touching. He could feel her warm breath on his face as well as her hard nipples against his chest. It took every ounce of willpower for him not ravish her at this very moment. No need to be all business blondie-kun, you know Flair doesn't like when you are like that, she whispered before kissing him on the lips. It took him a moment, but he started to return the kiss. Soon Naruto used his tongue to enter her mouth, and Flair complied, giving him entrance as their tongues fought for dominance. The kiss became more heated, so Naruto pulled her closer. He started exploring her body, caressing her sides, groping her ass, her long legs, and her breast, fondling and pinching the left nipple. She wasn't going to be left out, as she was also exploring his body, running her hands on his muscle chest and grabbing his butt and enjoying the feel of it. He started fondling her breasts, roughly making the retard moan loudly. Her hand traveled down south and started stroking his cock. Naruto noticed that if things continued like this, he won't be able to keep himself in line, so he pushed her back, breaking the kiss. He wasn't surprised when her expression didn't change one bit. Hell, he cold blame her. He did that to her, so he shouldn't be surprised by her behavior. I need you tell me where will Ivan be during the next 2 days, Naruto said with a calm voice. Well, he will be visiting Shiratsum town to get money from Everloo, she said. So I'm guessing that he bailed the fat little mole from prison? The blonde asked. Seeing her naughty smile, well it seems like I will become a lot richer tomorrow, he finished with a smirk. As he stated to exit the little jacuzzi, Flair's eyes widened in surprise. He put on his dressing gown and was on his way to the dressing room. Wait. Don't you want to have some fun? Flair asked. I'm in relationship, Flair, he answered calmly. Honestly, couldn't she a bit less clingy? What if I tell Ivan about your little plan, she asked with a smirk. Naruto for his part didn't stop walking. His posture was still the same. Well, you do remember what happened to the last person that betrayed me, he asked offhandedly. She of course knew what happened to the man. His name was Gaius Cassius Longinus. From what she knew, ever since his childhood, he had an intense hatred for tyrants that failed to change as he aged. He started seeing Naruto as a tyrant in the making and decided to end him before Naruto could gather any more power. He failed. Naruto was merciless, he used his skills long enough to completely break the man. In the end, Gaius committed suicide as an effort to escape his hell. She was there when it all happened. He had bit his own tongue off, but Naruto decided that his death wasn't painful enough, so in the last moments of Gaius's life, Naruto used Tsukiyomi on him. The cruelly gruesome faith. A faith that she did not want for herself. Flair, hearing his calm voice, brought her out of her musings. Next time, don't change the meeting place unless it's needed. Alright, answered the retard. And one last thing, seeing her puzzled expression, he continued, from the moment I entered I was surprised that the room is empty. Did you kill someone? Hearing his question, her deranged expression reddened. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. If you come back maybe I will tell you. Flair, he said sigh before exiting the room. After walking a couple of seconds he entered the dressing room and started putting on his clothes, which didn't take more than a minute. He exited the dressing room and started walking into the lobby. The lobby was with plain white walls, a couch and a small table that was right in front of the couch. The only other person in the room was an old janitor who was sweeping the floor. Considering that left early Urza and Murahin were probably still in, so he decided to sit on the couch and wait for them. While waiting he started thinking about his future confrontation with Ivan. From what he knew from Flair, aside from his Shikigami, Ivan was also a user of illusions. But the Uzumaki doubted the man had anything that he couldn't break out from. And the man was extremely arrogant, which will also work to his advantage, so all in all the only thing the blonde regretted was that he couldn't kill Ivan. Hey Sonny, the janitor said. Yes. The blonde answered. Are you looking for some girls? The janitor asked. Red eyes went as wide as dinner plates. Is this guy some kind of pimp? Not like that, you stupid boy. The janitor exclaimed before continuing. You mean that one of them? Now what was her name? Mirza. Yes, Mirza told me to tell you that something came up and they had to leave early. Well thanks, but why didn't you tell me earlier? The whiskered young man asked. Well, I forgot, that's why, the old man said, making Naruto sweat drop. This reminds me that one time when a person wearing a bat costume. Old man, Naruto said, getting up and leaving the building, not wanting to hear some stupid story from some deranged old man. But I was going to tell you how he meets a sexy cat lady. Seeing that the young man already left, he let out a tired sigh. Young people these days, all they care about are their dramatic capes and red-eye lenses. It didn't take Naruto long to make it back to Fairy Hills. Actually, he was in front of his door just taking out his keys. He unlocked the door and entered. What caught his attention was that the TV was working and he could definitely see Urza flipping through the channels, but where were the others? He was already starting to regret his decision to invite the other members of Fairy Tail. He was already getting a migraine of Natsu and Gray's next argument, which will be swiftly followed by Urza bashing their heads in. But what really caught his attention was the clothing she was wearing. Her outfit was composed of a long light apron, tied behind Urza's neck and back, worn over her bare chest, and thus revealing much of her breast sides, paired with dark panties, exposing much of her buttocks, and long stockings, reaching up to the middle parts of her thighs. Naruto's eyes immediately started scanning every inch of her gorgeous body. And why wouldn't he? It wasn't an everyday occurrence to see Titania wearing a skimpy-made outfit. His perverted mind already started picturing all kinds of perverted scenarios, some included his Ulchan in the mix and didn't. "Urza?" he asked hesitantly. She turned to him with a million-jewel smile. "What is Naruto? Why are you dressed like that?" he asked while keeping his composure. "Do all redheads have a fetish for me? I was just cleaning up before Natsu and the others come. Just dusting, you know." Urza said, now standing up from the couch and started cleaning the bottom shelves. He just hate it when there are that need to be done, yet people never do them. The Uzumaki for his part zoned her out for a moment. Just staring at her beautiful long legs and gorgeous butt. At the moment in which he realized that he was staring, he immediately looked away. His little meeting with Flare didn't relieve him of his sexual pressure, could hardly resist not taking Flare then and there, and now yet another sexy redeed right in front of him. No, he won't be able to take it. "I will go to the kitchen to fix up some snacks for when Natsu and company comes." "Okay. See ya," Naruto said before he practically ran towards the kitchen. "Damn, that was a close call," the blonde said with a relieving sigh. "Damn hormones. And damn Ultier-chan for not being there for him in his moment of need. She better appreciate how faithful he was." "Naruto-kun." A voice cooed out. Naruto immediately recognized the owner of the voice. His entire body shivered. No, it couldn't possibly be her, right? He slowly turned his head to the direction of the voice. And saw the person who he really didn't want to see. No. Barahin Strauss. Wearing the same outfit as Urza. The only difference was that Mira was soaking wet and she didn't wear a bra. His enchanted eyesight picked up every single inch of her skin. His perverted mind just couldn't take it anymore, so he shot back with a giant nosebleed. Was this all a dream? Is this just a fantasy? Well, he discarded those thoughts when he felt both his arms, legs and eyes binded. What's happening here? One moment he was staring at one of the most sexy women he had ever seen wearing one of the skimpiest clothes he had ever seen, and then everything went blank. "Rise and shine," pervert, he heard a female voice call out. He groggily opened his eyes. In front of him were two figures. Two women to be exact. Urza and Mira standing before him wearing their regular clothes which disappointed him and no longer had playful expressions. No, now they both had stony looks plastered on them. "What's your name?" the redeed demanded. "Uzumaki Naruto," the blonde answered. "Wait, why did I answer? You are probably wondering why you answered, am I right?" Mira asked with an almost mocking tone. Seeing him nod, she continued, "While you were asleep, we gave a mag drug special truth potion. Is this how you treat all new guild members? No, but you're a special case. 1. I don't approve of your methods in handling dark mages. 2. We heard you little conversation in the bathhouse," Urza said with deadly serious tone. "Damn it all to hell. They played me ever since the cake shop, maybe even before that." "What is your mission?" asked Mira. "To make sure Ivan Dreyer does not help us side with Phantom Lord," he said truthfully. Of course he missed out on a few things, but he wouldn't want them to know that, right? "Who was that woman in the bathhouse?" the snow-haired girl asked. "Spy," he said vaguely. "Do you have any ill intentions toward Fairy Tail or any of its members?" Urza asked with pure intensity in her eyes and voice. "No." Currently in the Phantom Lord Guild, one guildmaster was grinning from ear to ear. In an almost insane manner. Around him were his most trusted and strongest warriors. These mages were Juvia, Gagiel, Arya and Totemaru. Or how they were better known as the Elemental Four. "Are you sure this is a good idea, Master?" Juvia asked meekly. "Do you doubt me, Juvia?" Joseph asked with a slight sneer. "And no, it's just that Juvia doesn't think that attacking Arthas and Fairy Tail is not a very good idea. You dare try to defend him? After all he did?" Joseph yelled. Immediately losing his cool at the mere mention of that man. His hand subconsciously covering his chest. "Now go, Gagiel. Do your job. And whatever you do, don't touch him. I will be the one to kill him. Understand?" the master said. His killing intent leaking, which sent shivers down his mages' spines. They had never seen their master this angry before. And they hope they never will again. Amik 1. I am going to become Hokage Sasuke. Amik 2. Amik 2. Ever since the incident in the Kyuubi's cage, Minato and Kushina were in an argument. About everything. How dare you do this to my son, Minato? Because of your nasty genes my son is damn pervert. Kushina yelled out. Please. If it wasn't for my genes my son would have been a tomato just like you. Minato said with a smug smile. Plus as you have seen attracts hot redeeds. Minato finished this with a little drool coming out of his mouth. It was no secret that Minato had a fetish for red hair. And seeing his son being surrounded by them, it just filled his heart with pride. When they start doing the act however he would pay special attention. In his mind he released an almost Orochimaru-like giggle. Kushina's face went red with anger until she yelled out well you were being the Nine-Tails little bitch, Naruto fucked me way better than you ever did. And here let me tell you a secret Minato she waited for a dramatic pause his dick is bigger than yours. How dare you? Well my anal was violated by a giant fucking fox you were sleeping with my son. The blonde man yelled out in outrage. Don't you even start talking about anal. I remember how you wanted a taste of mine. You even tried to pull rank 1 me. She paused to adjust her voice to something similar to Minato-sama ordering you as your Hokage to bend over. Well did you enjoy getting bent over, Minato-kun? Oh. Married life. Don't you just envy them? And cut. Finally this chapter is done. I was able to defeat the beast. The reason it took me so long to update was rather simple. School. I'm currently in my final month so I'm going to be tested in almost every subject in just 2 damn weeks. The last 2 chapters were just horrible. First Sasuke wants to be Konoha's bitch right alongside Naruto. Then Sakura is delusional about her power, then she somehow pulls out Tsunade's diamond jutsu out of her ass. The first somehow knows that Sakura is probably stronger than his granddaughter even he hasn't seen Tsunade fight. It was just a pain to watch. I'm sorry if my grammar is worse than usual. My word got fucked so I had to write most of the chapter on notepad. Just so you don't forget review. Shunshin no Jutsu, Body Flicker Technique. Body Flicker Technique is a high-speed movement technique, allowing a ninja to move short to long distances at an almost untraceable speed. To an observer, it appears as if the user has teleported. A puff of smoke is occasionally used to disguise the user's movements. It is accomplished by using chakra to temporarily vitalize the body and move at extreme speeds. The amount of chakra required depends on the overall distance and elevation between the user and the intended destination. Page Bunshin no Jutsu Shadow Clone Technique. Similar to the clone technique, this technique creates clones of the user. However, these clones are actual copies, not illusions. The user's chakra is evenly distributed among every clone, giving each clone an equal fraction of the user's overall power. The clones are capable of performing techniques on their own and can even bleed, but will usually disperse after 1 or 2 solid blows, though even then it may not be enough, as evident when during the 4th Shinobi World War, a few more notable clones of Naruto took heavy hits but didn't disperse. The clones can also disperse on their own. The clones will be created in roughly the same condition as the original. What if Naruto refuses to return to Konoha Fairy Tail? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down and thanks for watching the video and see you guys next video.